What is up, everybody? It is time for another Beefy Boys breakdown. And yes, we just did one a couple days ago, but guess what? There was more fights, so that means more Beefy Boys breakdown for each and every one of you members of Beefy Nation out there. And I'm stoked. Like, you're not going to catch me complaining about too many fights in 1 week. I could do this shit every day. I love watching it. I love talking about it. You know, I love chopping it up with my boy Harrison. We'll get Beefy Boy Harrison on here with us very soon. But yeah, this is Beefy Boys Breakdown episode 32. We haven't missed a single card in 32 cards. And let me get Harrison on here.
Yo, what up?
My God, man, you're looking good in that Dreadful Talk shirt, bro.
I appreciate it, man. Honestly, it is really like no cap at all one of my favorite t-shirts just because I'm not sure, like the comfort color shirts, bro, are legit like comfortable. Like they really like feel comfortable.
In the fit, like I love
Yeah,
the way
like
they
it's like
fit.
nice on my shoulders, you know what I mean?
It's not like weirdly stiff or weirdly tight. But yeah, man, I appreciate you representing. Rocking the Fight Island shirt. We're back on Fight Island. Figure I'd
Yes,
knock
sir.
the cobwebs off this motherfucker. But yeah, man, BB Boys 32, man. I'm just super thankful to have you with me along this journey every step of the way. Fight Island 8, I guess, is what they're calling this one.
Yeah, technically.
Technically, Fight Island 8. Chiesa versus Magny. Chiesa versus Magny. And man, I thoroughly enjoyed the card. I'm over here on the West Coast, and so the context for this card was like for the people of Abu Dhabi, of Yas Island. Like
Correct.
they've
Correct.
done so much and sacrificed so much and been so helpful to the UFC. And like all these fight cards that are like on, because they're literally like 12 hours ahead of us. They're on the other side of the world. So like all these cards have been going on at like 3 in the morning Abu Dhabi time and stuff. So it makes sense for the United States TV schedule. And so this card was kind of one for the locals. They've sacrificed so much. I'm all for it. But as a result, on the West Coast here, I was up at 6 a.m. watching fights, man.
It's so crazy, man.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I was saying, like, I definitely wouldn't want to do that every time. But for the one-off, it was kind of cool. I went and got me a little breakfast sandwich, some coffee. Let's fucking go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was weird. We hit like 11 a.m. even over here, like my time. So like, what would be 9 a.m. your time? And I was like, man, I've been watching fights for like a cool minute. Like, I can't believe it's this early in the day still.
No, definitely threw off my day for sure as far as schedule goes. But man, a lot of fun fights.
Tons of fights too, like just number of fights or what, 14, 13?
Yeah, and I guess one of those was the reschedule, right?
Omar Akhmedov and Tom Breeze.
And Breeze. That was supposed to be on Saturday, so I guess that's one extra fight, but still would have even been deep without that. And then the only thing that confused me a little bit is I'm pretty sure on the pay-per-view on Saturday there's only like 9 total fights, or so. It's not a ton, especially for a pay-per-view.
I want to say they had it at 11, but then 2 of them have fallen off leading up to it this week. So now they're at 9. But it's like, yeah, you think that they maybe would have moved one of these fights, like Brees and Akhmedov, easily could have been put ahead 2 weeks. Now, I will say, like, for those guys, it was essentially like they were trying to cut weight for Saturday.
Sure.
They're like, all right, we'll make it Wednesday, so it's just 4 days. Like, honestly, as far as the weight cutting aspect goes, I would appreciate the hell out of that as a fighter.
No, that's a very great point. I'm glad you brought that up, bro.
And honestly, I should have thought about that too with betting, but that obviously favored Akhmedov because he is one of those guys that just has an 8-minute gas tank, and he's either going to win the fight in 8 minutes or he's not.
That's a good point, man. But let's dive into these prelims a bit. Prelims, McGee's jumping at the bit over here. But
yeah, we got a lot of them.
Yeah, man, and we started out with some flyweight women. Victoria Leonardo. Yeah, I was impressed with this fight. Victoria Leonardo plus 165 underdog versus, I'm gonna butcher this, Manon Hero minus 185. French lady making her debut. I mean, that honestly sounds like a joke or something, like a French woman fighter, just because like their reputation. But she was badass. I thoroughly enjoyed watching her, man.
Well, I think it's interesting to note because they talked about this in the broadcast too, and I didn't really think about it with like guys like Cyril Gane or like Nasruddin Imavov. All these French fighters, MMA was illegal in France until 3 or 4 years ago. So like GSP, that's why I mean, he's Canadian, but like he would never go and train in France or fight in France because you can't. They wouldn't sanction the bouts.
And for those that think that's so foreign or weird, I mean, up until 5 years ago, it was the same
New
way in
York
New York
City.
City. Yeah, and I mean, different place. I mean, shit is just people make dumb shit illegal. Like for most of me and Harrison's lifetime growing up in Oklahoma, there were no tattoo shops in Oklahoma.
Good
Tattoos
point.
were illegal in the
You got to
state
go to
of Oklahoma.
Texas
Yeah, Texas, Missouri, shit like that. People would drive out of state to go get tatted or get tatted on vacation and
or
shit.
prison.
Yeah, or prison, and plenty of that going on in Oklahoma. And yeah, so just society sometimes, or like the rules lag behind societal norms. Like it takes time for like the rules to catch up. I feel like we witnessed it with cannabis, things like tattoos, certain liquor laws in certain places.
White Claws.
Yeah, and so now, I mean, MMA fell into that same category. We talk about it all the time, how back in the day it was like back in like the beaded porn VHS section and like the freaking movie rental
It's like
stores.
hidden.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like the secret room in Blockbuster behind the beads.
yeah, man. But yeah, French MMA to make a short story long, French MMA has come a long way in a short amount of time, and it's producing some phenomenal fighters and some
Yeah,
contenders.
absolutely. And this woman definitely was a contender. Or I mean, her hands look like they're in contention because I had a 10-1 in the first, but I mean, she dominated the first, man. Like
10-9, right? I think you said 10-1.
yeah.
That would be a hell of an ass whooping.
Oh no, 10-9, 10-9. Yeah, 10-1 is you might be dead.
Yeah,
That might be a corpse.
Qualify as murder, but yeah, no. To your point, Fioro's and that's how I'm pronouncing it. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I'm rolling with it. But Fioro's striking was crisp, precise, technical, and like aggressive. Like sometimes there's like crisp strikers that kind of like technically they're sound, like the movement's tight, but they're not kind of striking with like ill intent or like like trying to get nasty with it. And I feel like she qualified for that. I mean, like she was definitely willing to put some hurt down, which was lend itself to the second round TKO. But man, just the striking jumped off the screen. I know we like to say that a lot on the podcast. It's used in other sports to describe a basketball player's jumping ability or a quarterback's arm talent, but in MMA, like certain different qualities jump off the screen as well, and her just technical striking, especially whenever you bring into the fact that she's in the flyweight women's division, which we've talked about ad nauseum, is one of the thinnest, weakest, fastest to ascend divisions in all of mixed martial arts, especially the UFC, and so yeah, like you said, as a result of her just really impressive striking. It's easy to kind of envision in your head, take those next two steps and see her being a contender.
Yeah, I mean, girls like Penny Kianzad or honestly Araujo, who fought on this card as well, kind of look similar as far as like actual eye tests. So I'm not saying she's top 10 ready, but she kind of has that appearance in her skill set.
It wouldn't shock me at all if 2-3 fights from now she was definitely fighting some higher rank, working her way up the ladder. For sure, I could definitely envision that. Now, I guess something maybe could be said about her level of competition. Granted, I mean, she's only a minus 185 favorite, so it's not like she was getting thrown a tuna can. Like on paper, it was supposed to be a pretty competitive fight. And yeah, she made quick work of her second round TKO. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, brother.
Not much, man. I mean, I did have a couple bets going. I put her in one of my parlays to win. That number was super, super intriguing as far as it really helps the parlay when you take a favorite that's under 200, but you're really confident. Like I felt very confident in her, even though she was less than a minus 200. So that would be the only note I had was that I think Vegas kind of missed her number just slightly.
Yeah.
And she looks good, man. I can't wait to see her again.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if we mentioned it, but it was her debut, which makes it that much more impressive. She had no nerves, and there was some fans back in the stands. So, I got to be real, I've been so used to, Coronaville sports that, whenever I would hear the crowd cheer, my brain just thought it was, pumped-in crowd noise.
Yeah, you're like, what? I was,
hard.
searching the arena to see the fans, and then I finally saw them, spaced out, and I was like, oh, they are there. They are there.
Yeah, man, and it seemed like they were doing it right. Like in America, they're doing it so stupid. Like I've seen it a ton of football games where it's like, oh, we're only like our stadium seats 80,000, but we're only allowing 40,000 in the arena to keep it, socially distant. But then all 40,000 are crammed in the
Are
lower
literally on the
bowl.
sidelines.
And
Yeah,
it's
like
like,
on the
what's the
sidelines.
point? You might as well just have 80. But I'm not trying to here to be anybody's Karen mask police. I did like to see I did like to see, that they were going about it a responsible way, because that's what it's gonna take. Like, take your personal feelings and opinions out of it. Like, if we don't do it the right way, then just we ain't doing it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's
Yeah.
just gonna go on forever. So I just, whatever, personal feelings about Corona, this or that. If we just do it right, I feel like we can start doing shit again. Like, I wouldn't mind going to a concert with a motherfucker, 10 feet away from me. But
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. But man, keep it pushing, because this next fight, there's a lot to talk about here with this next fight, as far as storylines, as far as potential new stars, as far as performance of the night bonuses. So we'll get to it, man. We got Umar Nurmagomedov versus Sergey Morozov. And yes, you heard that right, the Nurmagomedov family. And for a second there, we thought it was a younger brother, but I guess it turns out it's a close cousin.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Usman is his younger brother. Umar is his cousin.
yeah, you can easily enough to mix that up. But yeah, Umar Nurmagomedov, the 25-year-old cousin to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and it had Khabib cornering him and
Yeah.
translating for him, which
That was tight.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it, and like, you can tell Khabib loved it, which put a big old smile on my
And
soppy, sappy
DC. I
face.
felt like DC was super happy to see Umar get the win and look as good as he did. Because when he came in, like, DC was, what I'm saying, like, all over him, like, gripping his shoulders, like, Umar, my man.
Yeah, man. And like, there's just like Khabib is such, and we've talked about it before, especially on the Khabib Gagey part where we got all drunk and emotional. But then Khabib is just such like a genuine guy that, like, there's no faking the funk with that guy, and just the smile on his face, you could tell how proud he was of his younger cousin. And it was just cool to watch, man. A good family vibe. Wouldn't be the last that we see of family vibes in this card, and we'll get to that. But yeah, we had Umar Nurmagomedov at minus 550. Huge favorite. Fighting
huge.
Sergey Morozov, who Sergey Morozov is a good fighter.
Very good.
And I gotta say, I guess hindsight's 2020 or whatever, and Umar looked great. But you got to figure some of that huge money line had to do with the last name, right? Just knowing they were going to get some casual bets.
Of course, yeah. I got a buddy that's asking about Conor this weekend, and I told him the exact same thing. Like, he shouldn't be a minus 310 favorite. Like, do I think he's going to win? Yeah, but that number is already bet way too high just because people see McGregor and they put a ticket on it.
Facts, big facts. But man, also interesting to note, fighting at bantamweight, so a little bit smaller than Khabib. Granted, he looked like a big bantamweight. It's probably one of those things. He's still very young. It wouldn't shock me at all as he gets a little older and more experienced to maybe move up to featherweight, or maybe even
I bet he will.
Khabib's former division, lightweight, one of these days. But as of now, get fighting some smaller guys. He's still young, still has that metabolism. Fuck it, he looked great. Didn't seem like the weight cut, killed him or anything. But I gotta say, so for everybody that sees that last name Nurmagomedov and expected a grapple fest, Umar had something to say about that.
He's the kickboxer in the family, apparently.
Yeah, and a lot of the commentators, were kind of comparing his style more to Sabit's rather than Khabib's. However, though, I gotta say, man, and I'm not
that grappling was nice, though. Whenever he got, like, on takedowns and shit, he looked just like
Khabib. He kept the top press. He stayed higher than him. He was having the wrist control. Like, well, I don't know. Maybe he has his cake and eat it too, it looks like to me. Because whenever he got on the ground, it looked just like Khabib. I don't know. I know he's his own man, and his striking, dude, those question mark kicks. And I guess we'll get into it a little more round by round. But
they come out of nowhere.
Lightning quick, like as fast as a jab.
Right.
Like as fast as like a heavyweight jab.
Like,
he was able to pull off a question mark kick.
Even Felder and Gooden were remarking about, like, wow, that kick is so fast, I can't even really see it getting set up. And that's like coming from a professional fighter.
Yeah, and a high-level kickboxer like Felder. Yeah, like just the fluidity in his hips. And I know I probably make, like, NFL quarterback comparisons, beating like a dead horse, but the fluidity of Umar's hips on those kicks reminded me of the fluidity of, like, a pitcher or a quarterback's shoulder. Just like the average person, I go to throw a football, it's going to be a big wind-up, maybe a couple of hitches. but it's all like it's like his hip sockets just sprayed with WD-40, man, just fucking so lubed up.
It's one of those things that's like watching like Tyreek Hill like run a route. Like it's literally just different. Like you see it and you're like, damn, there's no loss of speed at any point in that. No movement causes a loss of speed.
No load up, like just
right.
no like negative critiques on those kicks at all. But man, yeah, round. And we say here we are hyping up his striking, and it kind of proves how well-rounded he is. Because in round one, Umar came out, had multiple takedowns, and took the guy back twice.
Dude, his entries on his takedowns were beautiful too. Like the timing sometimes, and the way he'd go to the weak side, put his head on the weak side, and just shoot across the body. Like beautiful grappling. Yeah,
beautiful grappling. That's what I'm saying. Like we're sitting here hyping up his striking, and that grappling looks insanely good too. He's going to be a problem. But
he's 15-0, right, or 13-0.
He's undefeated. I forget the exact number, but yeah, in that ballpark for sure. And I mean, bantamweight's so loaded, but goddamn, I mean, I think he can make. All right, like just for example, and actually, I'm going to ask you a question right after we break down the second round and then finish. But yeah, go ahead and introduce round two. Describe the finish.
So essentially, it's a lot more of the same in round two, except that you can see Morozov is starting to wear on him. Nurmagomedov, I feel like, is starting to learn or land more of his shots. And then he, if I am not incorrect, gets the takedown here, right, from ducking under a hook and then gets him to the ground, takes his back, and just gets the RNC pretty much locked in.
Yeah.
And shout out to Morozov because, I mean, he was doing everything he could. He tried to get him to the cage to peel him off or, like, use it as, like to defend the angle. I mean, Umar was just there for all of it.
Morozov did about as good as a guy in his position could do. Like, and I know that maybe, I mean, some people out there may disagree, like, oh, he could have won. But, I mean, not really. Like, this fight was set up to be a showcase for Umar, for sure, 100%. I mean, I know once those cage doors lock, you know, anything can happen. But, you know, unless you're, like, a top elite guy fighting a guy like Umar, like, and I know we went on and on about how good Umar looked good, and he did look good, and he got a performance of the night bonus for it, which I think, you know, I had no problems with.
Deservedly so. Like, his whole performance was good, not just the finish.
Yes, that's a very key distinction to make. And but yeah, Morozov didn't he put up a fight. Like I know and it was a one-sided fight. Yeah, it was a second round finish, but he did put up a fight. Like he didn't look just like inept in there. Like he was outmatched. He was fighting a great fighter.
No, one of my notes was that literally Morozov is very game. Like that's one of the things I wrote down.
He wasn't scared. Yeah, he wasn't afraid of the last name. The moment wasn't too big for him. And apparently this fight had been scheduled once bepore, got canceled. And so I always love whenever those fights actually take place because you know both guys want it, chomping at the bit. All right, so just a scenario that popped into my head when I think of young up-and-coming bantamweights. There's only one name that really pops into my head, and it's Sean O'Malley.
Holy shit!
Oh, the O'Malley Nurmagomedov.
You know what? If they gave Nurmagomedov Wineland next, that's an easy setup for it because O'Malley's kind of in that spot too. But I think Nurmagomedov destroys O'Malley.
And I say that more to just highlight how high I am on Umar than to really tear down O'Malley. We all know I like O'Malley, but I'm just saying. You think of young up and coming bantamweight hotshot prospects. I mean, are those not the two names that come to mind? I mean, I know there's a ton of
Cheeto Vera. That would be the other guy.
See, but I look at Cheeto more as a veteran than
yeah. Oh, I would agree with that.
So that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about young. Upside, like bantamweight upside. Essentially, we got Umar and we got O'Malley, and I mean, there's others, but I don't know.
That's for the big names. For the big names at 35, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to run through guys that are cutting down to 35 for the first time or coming up, but most of those guys are leaving. Like Jimmy Flick's going to be at 125. Some of these guys that were on this card at 125 obviously went down to that weight. Mudajeri's 25. The Figueiredos are 25s. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think 35 is the best division to come up in right now because 45 is killers for the top 7.
Yeah, definitely, man. But man, one day, they have those things. If you could be president for a day, or if you could, do this for a day. I want to be Mick Maynard for a day. Have the ability to make these fights happen would be so cool. I mean, I'm sure it's hard work. I'm sure it's a fucking, like pulling teeth sometimes, but goddamn, would that be cool? Because I would be trying to set up O'Malley Umar yesterday. But
Well, how good do they feel when they make matchups like the next one, too? Like the next fight was an absolute banger of a fight, but it's like a great matchup, too, stylistically.
yeah, man. This fight was great, and it's one of those things where none of these guys are huge names. I mean, people know Mike Davis, hardcores, but I the thing is though, the storylines on this fight, they weren't like super marketed because it kind of just wasn't worth anybody's time as far as name and box office and all that goes. But the storylines going into this were pretty cool. I mean, you have an undefeated stud who is getting mentioned, like kind of similar how Conor McGregor was talked about coming up in Cage Warriors. He actually has the same 2 belts that Conor McGregor held in Cage Warriors, and is a hot shot 10-0 lightweight prospect. Mason Jones coming from Europe, and the European guys have been on fire lately. And then fighting a guy like Mike Davis, who is an absolute physical stud.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Athlete, like one of the best athletes in the UFC, like if we're doing like combine stats, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
For sure. Just like an absolute stud guy. Probably could have been a football, basketball, baseball, whatever, like that kind of athlete. And but Davis is one of these guys where he has fought like just nothing but absolute insane killers. Like I know there's no moral victories in any sport, but especially mixed martial arts. But like it's one of those guys where there's certain guys where they're like, you look at their record and like, oh, what? But then you like look at who the losses are to, and like you kind of give them a pass, right? Like,
yeah, right. Of course, yeah. It's
I
like
think he has a loss to
Cerrone's
Gilbert
record.
Burns, right?
Yeah, Gilbert Burns is on there.
And so so Davis used to fight at 170, I take it.
45.
45. Oh, Burns. Oh, I'm tripping.
You're
Burns
thinking
is a
of
featherweight.
You're thinking of his older brother, the other Burns.
Okay. Word.
I can't think of his name. It's the guy that fights Usman on. Oh no, Gilbert is 170. You're right. I'm thinking of Herbert. You're right.
But I was
Davis
going to
must
say,
have
Mike
come
Davis
down.
is huge. I don't know.
Yeah, Mike Davis must have come down.
Him getting down 10 more pounds. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You're right. 170.
Yeah,
honestly, Jones is a big guy too, though.
Yeah, both some big lightweights for sure. Definitely some weight cutting going on. But yeah, so we got this interesting story who, like, Mike Davis was the hot shot prospect. That's why they were putting him in there against the killers. And he has losses, but the losses are fucking like, we're talking like March Madness tournament argument, like they're good losses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about college basketball, college football, that's like a strength of schedule loss. You know what I'm saying?
He kind of has that like Marvin Vettori style record early on, because Vettori had like split decision loss to Adesanya, draw to Akhmedov. Like he has these crazy like split like losses and draws because he only has I think 3 losses and a draw. But if you look at who they are for Vettori, it's like, well, damn, this guy's top 5, obviously.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So. Fun fight. And then, like, it's one of those fights where it wasn't just fun on paper and it wasn't just fun on storyline. It was an absolute banger, and they were trading, and neither guy was scared, and both guys were landing shots. Davis kind of had a little more of a power puncher's approach, and Jones kind of had a little bit more of a pace approach.
I also think I was just going to say, I think that Mason Jones, his face did not wear damage well, whereas Mike Davis's absolutely did. Like, actually, like, looking at pictures of him after the fight, you would think that Mike Davis whooped his ass.
But I also got to say, though, like, just to kind of play devil's advocate, kind of give you a little pushback on that, Davis was landing the much bigger shot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I feel like that kind of correlation can't go, just be dismissed. Like, yeah, his face looked like that because he fucking got popped. Like, more, like, his Jones was landing more shots, I think, and I don't have the official strike numbers, but from my recollection, my eye test.
In 2 and 3, yeah, he won the strikes.
Quantity versus quality, and we talked that narrative. But this was a good one. I feel like usually when we talk that narrative, it's kind of like a boring fight or kind of an awkward fight, or like we're kind of trying to make an argument for a guy. But
or it wasn't like a lot of overall activity, so you're kind of making up for the lack of activity. This one was high activity, and Mike Davis was just landing very flush.
It kind of just depends what you like more, right? Yeah, I mean, but yeah, all right, let's get into it round by round. So we got some lightweights, some young lion hot shot lightweights. Round one, man, like I said, Davis had the power, and he had a couple of takedowns, so I gave round one to Davis.
Me too. I mean, I thought it was pretty close because Jones was the guy that was driving into him at the first. And for me, for some reason, at the start of a fight, the guy that comes forward, I always kind of lean a little more toward them until I see that become like either not their game plan or it is their game plan, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. You kind of got to give them the benefit of the doubt, and it is kind of a weird game plan to start a fight backing up. You kind of want to
Yeah.
at least test the waters, meet a guy in the middle, trade a little bit. But not every fighter. Some fighters have a more cautious approach.
But
No,
definitely Mike Davis won that round.
definitely,
No qualms with that.
yeah, for sure. And then round two, they fucking turned the volume up a little bit, just both figuratively and literally volume, because it started to bang. And
Yeah, you started to hear the smack of leather on skin.
definitely, brother. And man, I actually like Jones a little more in this round, but this is where he really ramped up that volume. He was connecting, and he ended the round on top. And if anybody that's watched previous episodes, we all know I'm a big, I put a lot of stock into how guys end the round. I kind of weight the end of the round a little more than the first of the round, and some judges do as well. But I think round two, it's fair to give to Jones. I don't know how you saw it.
I actually agree with that identically. I mean, I thought it was a crazy round and probably closer than the second one was, but still I went to Jones on it.
Yeah.
He landed more strikes if for like numbers sake, but also it wasn't the round like I felt like he landed maybe his best shots in the second round.
No, yeah, round two is such a good round.
Yeah.
That was just a badass round to watch, just visually and as a fan. And then round three, I mean, there was another banger. I mean, this fight was a great fight. Like this fight potentially, actually, I'm tripping. This fight did get fight of the night bonus.
It deserved it. And I was
genuinely
genuinely interested to see how this third round got scored. How'd you score it?
And I gotta say, just real quick before I score the third, I feel like Dana doesn't like giving fight of the nights to prelims, and I mean it happens.
No,
but
he
he
does
would
not.
much rather have it be a main or co-main. So for a prelim fight, to get fight of the night, it just proves how great of a fight it was. Just
Absolutely.
kind of working uphill battle there. But round three, I gave to Davis, and it's gonna seem oddly specific, but what jumped out to me this round was they were in the clinch, and Davis landed some huge knees to the body. Usually clinch knees to the body are kind of just to, have activity so the ref doesn't split you up. They're usually not the most impactful shots. These ones were, and that's why it stood out to me. I've watched so many, meaningless clinch knees over the years and just over the fight. But these were some of the cleanest, clinch, most impactful clinch knees I can really remember in a while. They were really nice. I don't know. They jumped off the screen to me.
I think that in the third round, I think the way that I ended up leaning, because I leaned toward Mike Davis.
Yeah.
But the reason I think I did was that he was just a little bit better in almost every phase that we saw. Like you're saying with the clinch, I thought he was landing better shots in the clinch. I thought on the feet, Jones was just kind of stalking for him like a zombie, but was really eating some shots that he had no business eating in the third round. So as active as Mason Jones was, and as much as he was pushing that pace to try and get the fight in the round, which I really love and respect, and shout out to him for trying to protect that 10-0.
He looked great.
Right, in a debut,
I'm not
I lost
down
no
on him
stock
at all.
on him.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly.
And I would say that Dana getting him fight of the night shows Dana's hey, appreciate you coming in here and really putting on. We'll get you a good one. Yeah, exactly. They're going to get him a good fight where he's probably a minus 200 favorite in his next one because he worked so hard
I honestly
for him in
hope
this fight.
so. Yeah, he deserves it. And some people disagree, in that kind of thought process. But I think guys can earn a tuna can, and I think he earned himself a tuna can.
Yeah.
For sure, man. But yeah, so it sounds like we're on the same page, and all three judges were on the same page as us. 29-28 Davis covers as a minus 155 favorite, and they both got 50 G's for the fight of the night. Like I said, it was Mason Jones' debut. He looked phenomenal. He was fighting a monster. He's still a 10-1. Like I said, I hope they give him either a guy on his way out or another guy making a debut or something like that next. Like I said, he fought an absolute monster. And as far as Davis goes, it's hard not to be high on him. So Davis is one of those guys that has but I don't want to say a low floor, but maybe not the highest floor, but he has a really high ceiling too. I could see his career going a number of ways because just the frame he's working with, that body, that athleticism. I know it's a coaching cliche, but it can't be coached. Certain guys have it and certain guys don't, and he's gonna have a physical advantage over like 90% of the guys that he like finds himself in the octagon with. Like if we're just talking about athlete for athlete, he's gonna be the stronger, more explosive man in most fights he finds himself in. And now, and like there's a obvious we know fighting is so much mental and so much technique and so much strategy that we'll see if that can kind of catch up to the physical attributes. And we've seen plenty of physical freaks on, flame out in the UFC. But I said the upside's there, man. I mean, the power, it's not like loopy, sloppy power too. He's a crisp striker, the athleticism. I mean, like I said, we've seen guys like this fizzle out, but I mean, the potential is there for him to, have a nice career.
Yeah, I just hope they don't like Michael Johnson his career in the sense when I said it's like don't give him like just 15 like top 3 guys in a row,
Yeah, he's already
like,
been kind of
like
off to that start. Like, yeah, and I tell you, I think it's kind of like how we talked about with Ngannou, how like I think they're kind of afraid to put him in there against a tuna can because he's such a physical freak that.
It's just not even going to be worth
dangerous.
their time.
Or like somebody could like really get hurt. Like, I don't know though. But yeah, I feel you. His career could go either way. I feel you on that. But yeah, go ahead and introduce this next fight, brother.
Yeah, so the next one, men's flyweight. So 125, we got the younger brother of Davison Figueiredo, Francisco Figueiredo. He's fighting Jerome Rivera. No relation to Erwin Rivera, which if you're not aware of that story, definitely go look it up. Real dark, not awesome. But this fight was awesome, in contrast.
When speaking of relation, you said Rivera's no relation, but Francisco Figueiredo, and like when I saw this, I was like, man, he spells his name just like Davison Figueiredo.
I wasn't just aware. Like him too, except he's dark as hell compared to Davison.
Yeah, he is
what the? Did you notice that?
Maybe different dads. I don't know. Maybe the milkman. I don't know. But
I don't know how those Brazilian
I'm not saying
genes work.
I didn't say that, Davison. I'm sorry. But
something in that acai. Who knows? But
yeah, man. But yeah. So I was just like, at first I was like, because there's like a Mexican way to spell the last name Figueiredo and like a Brazilian way to spell the last name Figueiredo. And, like, I was like, damn, he spelled it just like Davison. But I was like, oh, there's probably a lot of Figueiredos in Brazil. But then they were like, oh, no, that's his brother. And I was like, oh, dope.
Yeah, it makes sense. And they fight the same weight class, and they fight the exact same. He, like, keeps his hands at his waist, stalks forward, and just tries to pretty much be a bully in there. It's tight. Like, I kind of enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah, they definitely got the patented Figueiredo style. Figueiredo did come in as a minus 140 favorite, so not a huge favorite, but and then Jerome Rivera at plus 120. So on paper, this is going to be a close fight, and it was a close fight in the sense that it went the distance, but I thought Figueiredo looked phenomenal in this. Yeah, they're fighting up flyweight just like his older brother. Round one, I feel like was kind of close. I thought Figueiredo was more in control, kind of the old judging cliche of like he was fighting his fight, and then he did land harder, but it wasn't a super dominant round.
Oddly enough, I actually wrote the exact same thing. Figueiredo looks to be more in control of the fight in this round, 10-9. Like, that was the reason I scored it to him. He just kind of literally controlled the round.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I said, not the most damaging round, not the most impressive round. But round two, I thought was probably Figueiredo's best round. He had the takedown. He had the ground.
Great takedown to open.
Yeah, he started just to get a little nasty with it. He doesn't look as big and strong as his older brother.
He doesn't have that touch of death. Like, you can tell whenever he punches people, it's not like Davison punching him.
Which is kind of interesting to me because, as you mentioned at the beginning, he fights just like his brother. But the reason why his brother can fight like that is because he's the physically superior man in almost every matchup he finds himself in. So it was kind of interesting watching more of just like a normal-bodied. Like, I mean, he's obviously still a great athlete, but just not quite just as physically imposing as his older brother Davison, but he was still fighting with that same style. And it was just kind of, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how that plays. Like is that sustainable? Because it's barely sustainable for Davison, as we saw in the Moreno fight, but he's just such a physical freak. And really, he's a bantamweight fighting at flyweight. But I don't know. Like I said, Francisco seems more like an actual flyweight, and it just, like I said, he pulled it off in this fight. But just moving forward, be interesting to see, how that plays.
Here's my other question too. They fight at the same weight. What happens if they have to fight each other? eventually? Like, would they do that? Or is it going to be like a DC Kane thing where they openly tell the world, like, we will not fight each other for the belt? Like,
I mean, I think that it's so early on in Francisco's journey that you kind of just got to cross that bridge when you get to it, you know?
but I just feel like it's weird to show up. Like, imagine if you were a college football team and I was a college football team, and you were just like, I'm going to take Texas, but you already knew I was at OU. It's like, dog, you could have had Ohio State, you could have had Alabama, but you chose this in-conference rival, and now we have to play each other.
See, I think it's different in fighting. I think it's different in fighting because it's not because it has to do with weight. Like if it didn't have to do with weight and like it was divisions like in other sports and he just chose to be in that division, I feel like, you know, that would be a more valid point. But it has to do about weight and size and who he wants to be matched up against. And so that's why I just feel like it's a little different. And like I said, I think they're at such different parts of their careers to where
Definitely.
like Francisco's just, I mean, his placement on the card kind of indicates where he's at in his career. He's on the prelims. It's not the featured prelim. He's not even main card status yet. And meanwhile, his brother's the king of the castle. I honestly think like, and this is just in my head doing like 2K simulations, like fast forwarding seasons. But I think that say some scenario played out where it was Francisco's time for the belt shot. It's like, does Davidson still even have the belt by then? Like, I feel like that's like 2 or 3 years down the road by the time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, and
I feel like
typically I wouldn't disagree with that. But at flyweight, we've only ever had 3 flyweight champions. Like, that belt doesn't move often.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I just feel like, I mean, Moreno almost had it. Dillashaw's coming back. He's been calling out.
Dillashaw.
I mean, I'm just saying, and then he's been calling out Cejudo. I'm just saying, like scenarios.
I would love to see that one.
Scenarios exist, bro. Like scenarios exist where in 3 years,
but dude, no way
doesn't
TJ
have the belt.
But no way TJ can make 125 because he got busted for EPO, and he said openly, like, I took the EPO because I couldn't make that weight without it. So
Fair enough. I mean, I'm just throwing out scenarios. I'm not trying to go like too deep into them, but like I'm just saying. I think then that for that potential scenario for the brothers fighting for the belt, I think Father Time kind of answers that question for us. Because Davidson's not a super young guy. He's like, what, 34, 35, something like that? I mean, 33 maybe?
33.
But I'm just saying, so 3 years from now, he's 36. I mean, that's not super old for a fighter.
But it's hard for him to make 125 at 36. That's going to be tough.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I feel like time will kind of not allow that to happen. But maybe I'm wrong. But and let's get to round 3. My bad, I got deep down a rabbit hole. How'd you break down round 3 for us, bro?
I thought round 3 was Rivera's best round just because, like, I thought his toughness and his cardio kind of started to show in the last 2-3 minutes of the fight for sure. Figueiredo did get that takedown early. And I honestly, you could have gone either way. I went to Rivera with this round, but I think one judge did give it to Figueiredo. Am I wrong in that?
I forget exactly how the judges scored it, but I have no problem with it. I did give it to Figueiredo, but I did also write this was the closest round. Like, this was by far Rivera's best round, so definitely not mad at that at all. I thought Fig had a little more dominant position. And also, man, overall, if it wasn't for the storyline and the last name Figueiredo, this fight was boring, bro. Like, straight up, not my favorite fight. Like, it wasn't a great fight.
It was a snoozer. And then, honestly, I mean, because I don't want to, give them too much time for a snoozer since we already kind of discussed Figueiredo's place in that division. But the next fight I thought was guaranteed won't be a snoozer. Kind of like stayed on that same style of snooze fest, in my opinion.
It wasn't as bad. Like, I'll take that. Actually, I don't even think it was the worst snoozer. The worst snoozer on this card was I don't know. We'll get to it. But yeah, there was a couple snoozers on the prelims. Yeah. I'll be real. And I'm prelims McGee, and I was sitting there like, God. And I'll be real. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that it was like 6 in the morning, but I was just like damn, like, I was at 6 a.m. for this shit. Like, I would give me some bangers, keep me awake. But
yeah. In my opinion, this 3-fight stretch we just hit right here from Figueiredo now on to at 185 Dolce Lungiambula versus Marcus Perez. Lungiambula minus 150 and Perez plus 130. But the fight after them I thought was the most boring of the night. So this 3-fight stretch was a little tough to get through.
Yeah, totally. I'm right there with you, brother. Yeah, and it's crazy because the line moved. I don't know. So did you write that line down previously, or when did you write your line down? Because I have minus 140 for Lugambala and 120 plus 120 for Perez.
Man, I wrote it down right before they walked out, so that must have moved like literally before. So like I was going from my ESPN app, like I'd open it before they walked out, write it down, and then watch them walk out, right? So yeah, that must have
Some late
moved.
money came in, right? That's what that means, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, on Perez, but shit, they lost their money in that case.
Yeah, definitely, man. And we got some middleweights, and it was pretty. And just because that last name's kicking my ass, I'm going to refer to Lungiambala as Dalcha from here on out.
Yeah.
Dalcha was a former heavyweight and light heavyweight, and goddamn it looks like it.
You
He's
can
a
see it.
thick
You can
boy.
see it. He's 5'8", and his arm reach, his wingspan's 6'4", by the way.
He's only 5'8". That's
He's 5'8", and his wingspan is 6'4". Yeah.
His physique, he's built like an action figure or something, like a disproportionate like I've been watching a lot of Ink Master lately, and like I feel like if somebody tattooed this guy, the judges would be like, "This is so out of proportion. Like this isn't even what a human being looks like." Sorry,
He's
random
like
connection.
He's like a He-Man.
No,
like, honestly.
yeah, he's built. Or like when SpongeBob got the fucking blow up.
Yeah,
arms,
the arms like down to the ground, dragging. Like his arms literally like down to his knees. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy build. Man, and how'd you see round one?
I thought Dalcha won the first round 10-9. Also, got to note, he is freakishly strong. There were a few times where Perez had like actual position and just got picked up and moved out of the position. Or like whenever he got the Kimura and Dalcha just was like, I'm just going to bring my arm back.
Was like a fucking, it looked like
extended.
A piston. It looked like it was like a mechanically controlled like hydraulic piston. He just was like, nope. Like, ever seen like a car, like the Jaws of Life or like a car crusher or something? You know what I'm saying? It was just
same thing with the armbar. Whenever he transitioned out of it, he went to the wrong side and just ripped his arm out.
Though there were multiple times where he turned Perez into just like a machine at the YMCA, like just like a tricep extension machine where he just fucking just...
Dude, his first takedown, Perez was like trying to get that like one arm locked up, and he literally just scooped both of his legs from underneath and dropped him on his back.
Yeah, and it's crazy because and anybody that's following martial arts or knows about martial arts or practices martial arts, they'll tell you that like these techniques were developed to like neutralize size and strength. So like that's why like back in the day, like little Hoist Gracie that's the reason why every fighter does jiu-jitsu now, because he was able to beat these gigantic roided out monsters being an average sized dude with the techniques and precision of jiu-jitsu. And that's like kind of like how these techniques exist. And literally Dalcha was so strong, he just said,
it was crazy,
all
dude.
that. Fuck that. Hundreds of years of like developing a technique to like fuck all that. Like, you motherfuckers think you know something, know this. It was crazy. Like I said, it's like he would be like man, there were multiple times where any other fighter gets subbed. And I'm not even just saying any other middleweight, like
almost any other person.
Yeah,
like think about this. Like when Perez has that Kimura, he has two of his arms on Dalcha's one. Lungiambala just said, nah, it's not enough.
Nah. Yeah, like I said, it literally looked like some kind of hydraulic piston or like some like a...
It was
like,
crazy, dude.
Have you ever seen like one of those like rosin presses that like...
Yeah, where it just like keeps going down, keeps going down, keeps going down. You're like, okay, it's nothing's stopping it.
Yeah, bro. That's literally what this reminded me of. But yeah, round one I also gave to Dalcha, that top position and just like the freakish strength. Round two, also gave to Dalcha. He actually started to land some ground and pound. And as we've just been describing this, yeah, man, we've been describing this guy's physical strength, and just imagine being on the wrong end of that strength and gravity coming downward, doing some vicious ground and pound. Like I said, not just the most active, but I didn't have to be just because he's such a goddamn monster.
You know what I learned in this fight is that ground strikes do not count as significant strikes unless they're like posed up in the guard and actually striking and defending. It's so weird to me. Like a hammer fist from the top, like when Dalcha was landing, those aren't significant strikes. Those are ground strikes.
Oh, wow.
I think they're pretty damn significant, if you ask me.
Yeah, ask Perez. But
ask his forehead.
But man, yeah, that's great nugget there, bro. But and then round three, I actually gave to Perez.
I did too.
Kind of a too little, too late situation. I think Dalcha was pretty damn gassed just because of the nature of how he's built and how dominant he had been for 2 rounds.
And I think using pure brute strength to escape submission saps the fuck out of your strength, you know?
big facts there. And then, Perez, like I said, kind of too little, too late. I'm pretty sure Dalton knew he had two rounds in the book and was just like, you ain't about to knock me out, dog. You know, you can have this little score, these little points here. And the judges saw it the same way we did, 29-28 for Dalton. Like I said, I mean, Dalton's like, technique and he's rough, man. He's a diamond in the rough. They said he should have lost this fight essentially, but he's just such a goddamn physical monster. And I mean, I don't know. We've seen physical monsters be stopped, but usually the physical monsters are like heavyweights. Like, I don't know if we've seen a middleweight freak. Like, I mean, I'm sure somewhere out there's been one, but I don't know, man. He's something different. And I'm not saying that he's like going to win the title or anything. I'm just saying it's going to take – he's an interesting puzzle to crack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying nobody's out there can solve the puzzle, but, like, you can't even use, like, conventional means. Like, you know what I don't know.
Let me give you 3 extremely interesting fights for Lungiambula, in my opinion, next. Okay?
Yeah. Fire him off, bro.
And then you pick who you want him to fight.
Okay. Yeah.
Tafon and Chukwi.
My Nick Maynard role play.
If you remember Tafon and Chukwi, who we thought was a heavyweight, but fights middleweight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Impa Kasanganay, the guy that Joaquin Buckley knocked out with the spinning head kick, like the ninja kick, or Joaquin Buckley. All of those guys are 85.
I'm going with the first one. Just
so
because,
Tafon and Chukwi?
Like, his arm is literally the size of Buckley's waist, bro. Because Buckley walks in there at like 182. I mean, I know they're middleweight. I know. I'm not saying, like, I just the physical matchup of the Nchukwi matchup. I mean, that'd be like just like an Oklahoma drill with 2 Alabama linebackers. You know
That's
what
I want to
like,
see. To be honest, I want to see Nchukwi fight Lungiambula.
I mean, they're almost foils of each other. Like just stylistically, build, size, like
and
even their story of being former heavyweights in like the South African little local circuit.
Right, they come out of the KSW circuit. Like they're both a little older. Like and Chukwi is much younger because Lungiambula is actually 35.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would love to see it. That'd be so fun. Like,
that's a fun one.
It's a fun one. Certain times, certain fights are fun. That would be a great one to put on like a main card of like maybe
like a main event opener fight. Like that's going to be an entertaining fight.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So it's like I'm not high on Dalton Lungiambula, but I'm high on just like the fun nature of watching a guy like that like breaks all the rules and says fuck your jiu-jitsu physics and
the way he fights and the shit he can do that no one else can do is what makes him entertaining.
Like, I think the only way to beat a guy like that would be like pace, like a crazy pace. Like I don't think you're gonna knock him out, and I don't think you're gonna submit him. Like I think you'd outpace him for a decision.
I think you'd have to Kevin Holland it, where you just strike the shit out of him, distance, keep wearing him down.
Yeah.
Get swept to your back, but get up. You know what I mean?
Like I think Holland would beat him, but I don't think it would be a finish. Like it would be a decision.
Or Darren Stewart is a fun matchup for Lungiambula moving forward too. Darren Stewart, another super yoked 185 guy that is right in that range.
Yeah. I wouldn't be mad at that either.
85's got great back end weight right now.
Yeah. Well, it's just we've talked about it before. It's that weight class where like great athletes,
freaks
can make that weight. Like guys, former football players, just other types of athletes that can get the 185.
I'd say your most complete athletes fight at 70 and 85. And we talk about that all the time.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, because at 205, you do start to like see some dexterity, some stiffness. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah,
especially we'll see some stiff 205ers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll
get there.
Yeah, so we'll keep it pushing here. Because man, I remember the last time Mudarji fought, we were fucking riding sky high. Hype train all aboard. I mean, I remember it distinctly. I mean, maybe it was a little more me than you, but he still looked great. And Vegas was right there with us because he was a minus 500 favorite. He's fighting a Zaruk Adashev plus 400 underdog, flyweight. And Mudarji is the Tibet, they call him the Tibetan Eagle. Is that what it is?
Dude, he pissed me off so much in this fight.
Me
So
too.
much.
Me too. But I'm saying, do you remember the last fight? Like how just
Oh
stoked we were on
yeah.
him, and
Oh
we were like, our
yeah.
jaws were
That's
dropped.
why he made me so upset this fight, is because he throws straight shots down the center and like rocks people, and he has an 8-inch reach advantage on this guy, and he
He's
had him in
huge.
trouble at one point and didn't go in for the finish.
He's so tall for this weight class.
Like
So tall.
even though I mean, spoiler alert, he's a minus 500 favorite, so he wins the fight, but not impressive.
No,
Not
exactly.
impressive. Like if anything, stuck down.
And it's like, do you? So it seems to me like you're more knocking him than giving credit to Adeshev. Like you don't.
I mean,
it's like a
Adeshev is
scenario
super
where
tough.
Adeshev just showed up. Like you think it was just Adeshev got off the bus. Like if I said this on the last podcast. If they fought 10 times, do you think like I think this was like the 1 out of 10 where Adeshev looks like does this well, or no? Are you not thinking that?
I think this is all due to Mudarji's like game plan, and not even game plan, because I think the game plan was good. I just don't think he executed. Like I literally think that like he was running the right plays and like missing blocks if it was going to be like a comparison to football. Like
Okay.
he was in the right places. He had the right tools. He was doing the right things. He just didn't put it together.
Yeah,
which is really frustrating to watch.
It was not a good performance. It's not a good performance. Yeah, it's like where a basketball player has like a 12-point game, but all of those baskets were like the sauciest baskets, and like,
right.
Why didn't you do more of that?
Right.
But yeah, well, so round one. Oh, sorry, bro.
I was just gonna say, Adeshev's record is 3-2 in MMA. He's 3-0 at 125. So I mean, this fight is at 125. But he's 0-2 at 135, so clearly he has a problem with the power differential, right? So that, I think, is obvious. And Mudarji throwing down the center line and having an 8-inch reach should obviously like go after that, right?
Yeah, he wasn't aggressive enough, and I mean that
he was not aggressive enough, and that's a problem.
And like with velocity, like you know what I'm saying? Like I
and
don't
just
think
instinct, his instinct of when he had him hurt, like he wouldn't go in for finishes and shit. And it's like, dude, like you have all the reach on earth to get in there and start picking and popping this guy.
I mean, it's a fair question to ask with a guy like Mudarji's ridiculous, crazy build. You think that weight cut got his ass? You think? I mean, is it time to move to bantamweight? I mean, he could easily.
I don't know. Did you see his knee, by the way? It looked like he had like something on his right knee that looked like a staph infection that he hadn't treated yet. It was like a small little like whole scab almost.
Well, he definitely wouldn't have let it in the octagon if it was staph. I mean,
well, Kevin Lee's fought before with staph on his chest when he fought.
Really? Oh,
yeah. So if they have staph and they're on antibiotics, they can't spread it after 48-hour cycle of the antibiotics. But that usually saps your cardio.
Yeah,
like antibiotics literally make you more tired. So
I had no idea.
That could have been what it was.
Maybe he didn't look. Yeah, he just like. Yeah,
he didn't look tired. He just looked like lethargic. But maybe that is what it is.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, in round one was a close round. Mudarji was slightly more accurate, but really a snoozer of a round. I mean, I don't really know if you have anything to add to that. Not the greatest round in the history of martial arts.
I mean, I was just noting their striking styles, which was that Adeshev, he's fought 16 professional boxing matches. So he knows how to strike, but his whole plan was stay as far away as possible and really like feint, like, keep this distance, keep him guessing, and then blitz in hard, right? Well, Mudarji should know that's the plan. When you're at an 8-inch reach disadvantage, you have to do that. Like DC talks about all the time.
Yeah.
Like DC talks about how he has to throw like these big overhands, come up, clinch, and then start throwing like, clinch strikes, things like that. Like you have to learn how to fight to your best strengths. Well, Mudarji should know that Adeshev being that much shorter and not as long is going to have to do that. So he should have just been trying to bait and counter strike the whole time or walk down the center line.
No, yeah, fair, very.
I just think that like, and I think he knows that, right? Because after the fight in his post-fight interview, he was like, "I'm not happy with my performance." Like, I think he knows everything I'm saying.
That gives me hope. Like,
and I like to hear that. I was happy to hear that.
Yeah. And then round two was probably Adeshev's best round. At the start of the round, he was definitely winning the round. Now, Mudarji ended the round strong, and then I just said a few minutes back how...
And he had him hurt in round two. That was the round he almost got the finish.
He dropped him. And so, yeah, I definitely, like I said, I definitely gave that round to Mudarji. But if Adeshev could have done at the first half of round 2, if he could have just fought like that the whole fight, or at least that whole round, he would have run that round, if not the fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like, I was just, man, I hate to sound like disappointed in a guy that gets a unanimous decision victory. And actually, all the judges gave him, one judge gave him all 3 rounds. I disagree. I gave the last one to Adeshev. But I don't know, man. I just felt like Mudarji was scared of the action in this fight. And that's not appealing.
But when you're a minus 500 favorite, that's like when Alabama, plays the Citadel, and if they were to like win by 2 touchdowns, people would be like I mean, they won. But,
I mean,
yeah.
But in reality, it's like when we beat Moore 13-7 that one year. It's like that, like, and we were probably 20-point favorites.
Yeah,
it's disappointing. And like, from my own perspective, when that happened to us, like, that's disappointing. Like, I'm sure he feels the same as I feel today, but it's just frustrating from our perspective of like wanting to see a good fight as a fan.
I was high on him, and I mean, I still am, I guess. I'm gonna give him more of a pass than you given him, but
how did you score the 3rd round?
The 3rd round, I gave it to Mudarji, but
okay, so you scored at 30-27.
Yeah, I gave it 30-27, but it was like a boring whack 30-27. But it's exactly like, how harsh are you going to be on a 30-27? Like I don't know.
That's my thing, is like, he clearly won the fight. Like, there's no one that could say Adeshev won the fight. That's not even in question.
Yeah, he won the fight, but I don't even want to say he showed weakness. He just didn't. He didn't get off the bus, man. Like, I mean, who knows?
Right.
Who knows? Maybe
it's kind of like he walked through the motions.
I mean, he's a fucking like shepherd. Maybe a wolf ate one of his favorite sheep fucking last week or something. I don't know. Maybe his hair wasn't in the game. I don't know. Maybe
Corona spread the sheep.
Man, yeah, I don't know, bro, but man, we've all had days, where we're not necessarily on our A game. Now, if he turns out another performance on that like that, I'll be dauber down. But he got the win. I'm just gonna kind of write that off as a one-off. Maybe wasn't having his best day. Maybe had a rough weight cut. I don't really know. I'm not trying to make excuses.
Maybe the staff, I think there's a lot, especially with fighting, man. Like, fighting is so much different than all the other sports in the sense that, like, you literally put on a cup, fucking like Reebok spandex, and go out there and fight another guy to you maybe being asleep, maybe 15 minutes happens, like, you don't know the outcome. So
and there's so many reasons why I've grown to love this sport so much, but it's just like, it's all boiled down to the nuts and bolts, like you said. Like, you're just out there almost naked. Like, there's no team, there's no like hockey stick. There's no
tools other than like covers over your actual hands. Like, your tools just have like protections. Yeah. I mean, man, there's nothing else like it. Like, Joe Rogan all the time talks about it's the most high level chess you can play. Like, it's real life physical chess, and he's right.
It has a lot of the same principles as like football and basketball and these other sports, but it's just like all that shit just boiled down to just the broth. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like a core human skill. Like, fighting has been a thing for thousands of years. Football's been around for 60. Baseball's been around for 120. Like, you're talking thousands of years with our sport versus hundreds of years with others.
No, I feel you. Yeah, I'm just, it's hard not to love it, man. Each week, man, I just fall in more and more love with it, man. I just love this shit. I love learning more about it. I love watching it. I love talking about it.
Well, and especially like fights like the next fight make me love it even more. Like, I love the next fight. Like, the work rate in the next fight was tremendous.
Yeah, great fight. We got Ricky Simon, or Simone, however you want to look at it, minus 500 favorite. Got another huge money line spread. And then Gaetano Perello, plus 400. And, bantamweight fight. And, God damn it, Simon looked phenomenal. Like, really good. And it's hard. I mean, this is how Mudarji should have looked. Because they had the same money line, and man, just dominance personified. But go ahead, man. Break down round 1.
So I was just gonna say, as well, as a quick side note, like, he might be minus 500 to win. I actually got a ticket on Ricky Simon to win inside the distance at plus 135.
Nice.
That was a steal, right? Like, I was stoked to find that. Now, the way I saw this going essentially is exactly what happened. Like, I texted a buddy before the fights, and I was like, he's going to get 10 takedowns, ground and pound the shit out of him, and hopefully get a choke. Well, the first round, it showed exactly how it was going to go, right? Like, Simone is just relentless, dude. Like, he's like Khabib. Like, when he gets you on the fence, like, he will literally lift you, slam you to your back, let you cage walk up, however you can try to get up, and then he's going to forward pressure you down, just keep shucking you down, keep shucking you down. That's got to wear your energy has to be gone after 6 minutes of defending that.
Yeah, I mean, it was Simon's world, and Perello was living in it. You know what I'm saying?
Poor
Simon was
Gaetano,
pretty
you know
much
what I mean?
just yeah, I will doing pretty much whatever he wanted. Just utter domination. I assume you gave round one a 10-8. I mean, I definitely I did.
I'll be honest. I forgot to write down my score for the first because I was trying to count the takedowns and shit. Like
It was
he was
so
just
dominant.
literally like picking up, returning to the mat every time. Like,
Yeah.
and then also landing some nicer punches too. Like Perello had nothing for Simone.
Yeah, no, it was all Simone, no Perello, and that's why I gave round one a 10-8. Yeah, I mean, and to quote the great DC, that's as 10-8 as it gets, as in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then in round two, Simone gets that submission from the arm triangle, and it's like, man, if it wasn't that, it was going to be something else. Like he got to kind of pick and choose out of his bag how he wanted to finish that fight.
So let me ask you this, because I've heard DC talk about this, and I've heard a few other fighters talk about this, that whenever they're getting their ass beat like this, right, guys sometimes will give up. But they're not going to, like, get knocked out when they give up, right? So what happened here is Simone gets that takedown, immediately gets the takedown into full mount, and then Perello gets arm triangled within 6 or 7 seconds, right? So DC has talked about how arm triangle and rear naked choke are the two things that guys will give up in a fight. Essentially, like, when they're tired, they're just like, all right, if you get this, have it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Perello was.
I kind of felt like he got gassed and was just like, I don't want to be in here anymore. Like, if you get this arm triangle on me, this is what you got.
I think that's fair to say. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I'm not taking anything away from Perello either. He just was overmatched. He was a late replacement. I think he felt 8 minutes of the pressure he did not want any business of and was like, you know what? Fuck this fight.
Yeah, it was over. It was over, man. And I don't know too much about Perello, but, you know, he didn't stand a chance. Simone looked great, man. It's like, it's just, this is one of those fights I got to pump my brakes on. Because, like, immediately after this fight, I was like, fucking A, Simone, he can do that to any bantamweight. But, like, you know, but he was fighting, a plus 400 underdog. I would love to see him in there just to get some higher competition and see, you know, how that translates, because he looked so good. But it's like, it's almost like one of those things, like he looked a little too good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to.
I would love to see him add an E to the end of his name so that when we have to say Simone, we can actually like see it on paper and know it's Simone, you know? That's what I'd love to see. But
Simone and Pumba, brother.
Yeah. But on a real note, man, you're right. Like, it's weird because when he fights guys that are really well-rounded, complete fighters, and he can't get those takedowns just super easy like that, he's not Khabib. Like, he can't force that takedown. Khabib can literally take down any human in the octagon.
Or like we didn't even get a chance to see, you know, if somebody stuffs a couple takedowns, what's that stand-up like? You know what I'm saying?
And I've seen that before. I've seen him in a fight where he's lost in a 29-28. Like, he'll take damage, but, like, he's always going to wrestle. So, as a fighter, it's one of those things where, like, if you're a guy like Adesanya that has this good takedown defense with crispy striking, you're going to torch a guy like Ricky Simone.
Yeah, he's definitely not with, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this was the only Ricky Simone fight you've ever seen, you'd come out of this being like, "Whoa, he's a fucking world beater." But you know, you gotta pump the brakes a little bit. Yeah, he looked great though. He looked great. Not taking anything away from him, but yeah, well, like I said, we'll see how he looks in that crowded bantamweight, you know, division moving forward. And then that kind of threw me off because, like, on my little list I was using, it said that Medov Tom Breeze fight was going to be the featured prelim.
I thought it was too. And then did they move it to the main event?
They moved it to the main event, but like they didn't announce it. Like, because I was literally using the UFC's website. The UFC's own website had fucking Breeze.
You know what I think happened, man? Is they had too many fights go full decision. Like, I don't think they expected as many decisions in second rounds because, like Fioro and Nurmagomedov were late second round finishes. Mason Jones obviously went the distance with Mike Davis. Figueiredo went the distance with Rivera. Longambula went the distance with Perez. Adeshev went the distance with Mudarji. And then Ricky Simone wins in the late second. And they're just like, because you could tell when it ended. I looked at the time, man, because it was like 11 or like 10:52 or something.
So you think
my time.
it was like a logistical decision? Like we got
I
to
think
make
it
this
was
fit
like
the TV schedule. Okay.
correct. I think TV was like, hey, you can't run this fight without us getting our commercials at the hour break, so you just need to push it.
Yeah, no, me too. Because I was like caught off guard, and it was funny. I remember specifically because I was planning to stuff a cone like between the main card and the prelims, like that little gap, and I was gonna like stuff a cone and smoke a joint, and then but then I didn't realize because I was like waiting for the Akhmedov fight, and I was like waiting for it, and then it went by. I was like, oh shit, this is the main card. I missed my window to fucking roll stuff my cone. But yeah, man. So we'll get into it. Started the main card. And this was a cool fight. Number 13 ranked middleweight Amari Akhmedov, but he was the plus 120 underdog fighting unranked Tom Breeze, who was the minus 140 favorite. So I always find that interesting whenever, that scenario presents itself.
You know what's weird is I honestly really liked Breeze coming into this fight. Like I thought, and I talked about it a little bit earlier. Akhmedov is one of those guys that like his gas tank is, I swear to God, 8 minutes and then it's done.
Yeah,
like he's all fumes after that. His last fight was against Chris Weidman. Akhmedov was ranked in the top 15. It was Weidman's return to 185, so he had to fight near the back end. And Akhmedov got worked. He got worked by Weidman.
Yeah, he did.
Because he couldn't grapple with him. Well,
yeah.
I mean, he tried, but Weidman's such a good grappler that wasn't effective. Now, here in this fight, totally different circumstances.
Yeah. This is another fight where if this was the only Akhmedov fight you've ever seen, you'd think he was a world beater. He looked fucking phenomenal. He looked so good. He looked so strong. And so this was a fight where I remember distinctly like the first exchange, because I didn't feel super strongly coming into this, but I was kind of leaning Breeze. Like if somebody forced me to bet, I would have bet Breeze. But I remember the very, very first exchange, like round one, ding, ding, they come out. The first exchange, Akhmedov was so much more violent. And I immediately
looked
like
pissed. He looked like he was like salty to be in there.
Like he came out so much more violent. Like just like Oklahoma drill, one guy just hits harder than the other. Like and immediately then I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't bet Breeze. Like after the very, very first exchange. So kind of hindsight 2020, but not the whole hindsight. I'm not saying like after the whole fight. But after the very first exchange, I was like, oh, shit, Akhmedov, I think Akhmedov got this. But yeah, man, Akhmedov in the round one, after that first exchange, he managed to get him down. There was some nasty, he was just putting some just extra anger and vigor into that ground and pound. And then, but Breeze did end the round pretty strong, but I still gave round one.
Yeah, got the back. Was trying to threaten the rear naked choke. I still give it to Akhmedov as well. I thought it was like teetering 10-8, but then when Breeze actually reversed position and did all that, I was like, okay, 10-9, like 10-9. We have a fight.
Yeah, totally. I echo that sentiment for sure. And then round two, Akhmedov, another arm triangle. It was just like the arm triangle exhibition I would say last night, but yesterday morning.
You know what's funny is, good point. That's one of the easiest and most rudimentary submissions in all of jiu-jitsu. But it's one of those things where, like, if you're tired or a guy is, like, really just dominating you, it'll just get sunk in.
That's what I've noticed. You rarely see an arm triangle work against a fresh fighter. That's like one of those. I mean, anybody that's ever played like the UFC video game, you like get their health bar all the way down, and then you can like sink in any submission you want. Like,
right.
It's like,
yeah, exactly right. Because they're just so tired. It's like, well, they can't defend that.
That's why you'll usually hear me describe, like, and it's not the only time that I've described. I actually just did, but whenever somebody gets an arm triangle, I usually say, and I break it down by saying they could have ended that fight kind of however they wanted to at that point. It's just they did the arm triangle.
If you get an arm triangle, you were pretty much on an arm bar. You know what I mean? Because all it took was you to roll a hip over where your shoulder was, and you're you have a leg across their face, and now you have
And
their arm.
usually when somebody's that fatigued, if you're a guy that likes the ground and pound, you can usually end up finishing the fight that way too. So yeah, that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. Usually when you see an arm triangle, I feel like it's almost kind of merciful, like almost like when Khabib. I know it wasn't an arm triangle, but when Khabib was engaging
That's what I was saying about the RNC arm triangle. Is like it's the most merciful submission because you just kind of lay on your back, you have your arm up, and you just kind of tilt out to sleep. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, for sure, man. But like I said, Omar Akhmedov looked great. He definitely secured his position in the top 15. Kind of, halted the Tom Breeze hype train a little bit because that's the thing to me that stood out about this fight is that like Breeze didn't look great. I mean,
He
I
had
know
a huge hype train too, man.
he did,
Huge hype
yeah,
train.
yeah, definitely, and like and like I said, I know he ended round one strong, but he didn't fight great. He didn't look great. He didn't. The thing about it was he didn't look like scary. Like he didn't look dangerous. Like he didn't look like you know what I'm saying? Did you get that
At
vibe?
no phase, like he just looked like he was there to fight. He never looked like he was there to win a fight.
Yeah, or even to like. There's a difference in being there to fight and being there to beat somebody up. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that
Like
malicious
like
intent.
like Warley Alves, who we'll get to later. Warley Alves looked legitimately pissed off to be in the octagon last
Yeah,
night
man, and I know
or yesterday morning.
that's not everyone's style, but there still needs to be like some on
Aggression.
it.
I
Yeah,
need to see
yeah.
some aggression. It's
Yeah,
fighting,
man.
damn it.
So I mean, it's middleweight. I've already met off. Like I said, it's not like he's going to ascend to the top, but he's a nice little fucking gatekeeper there at the back end of 185. Just you kind of got to get past him to get a shot at one of the big dogs, right? It's kind of where he's positioned himself.
That's like Akhmedov is the gatekeeper to top 15. Because
Yeah,
I think Brunson beats Akhmedov. I think Holland beats Akhmedov. I think Jacare Souza could probably beat Akhmedov.
yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't. But I don't think guys like Tom Breese or Joaquin Buckley or some of those guys could beat him.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
I think honestly, man, we might see 185 very clearly. Like, I think me and you might be able to scale out 1 through 30 in 185 pretty damn close.
It's definitely not as muddy as some of the other divisions, that's for sure. There's kind of like a clear mark, like a delineation mark of kind of
Well,
the haves and have-nots.
I think 70 is the same way, and it solely goes down to what we talk about, that it's like you have to have every skill in 70 and 185 to succeed. So when you see a guy that has any sort of weakness, you already kind of know to drop them back.
Well, and I'll add something else to that. You have to have some of that, like whether you want to say God's given or whatever, you got to be a freak athlete. Like you
Yeah.
got to. Like it's like a prerequisite. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like in 25 and 35, these guys, like they're not going to probably make most football teams or basketball teams, and they're not freak athletes, but they've gotten good at something and they have good cardio and they can go a long time. But no, at 70 and 85, like you have to be a guy who was probably like the best athlete in your hometown. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be
Kamaru Usman is a freak athlete.
Yeah, yeah,
Tyron
yeah.
Woodley was a freak athlete. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like there's a few
Even
technicians in
Wonderboy.
70.
Like
Wonderboy, freak athlete. Colby Covington, freak athlete.
Yeah, yeah.
Much as
no
I
doubt.
hate that guy, freak athlete.
No, yeah. Even like Masvidal's a good athlete. Yeah, no.
The least athletic guy is probably Damian Maia, but he is literally like #1 in the world at jiu-jitsu in his weight. So like that made sense that he could be in the top 10.
No, I feel you. Yeah, exactly.
Kevin Holland's freakishly athletic. Like,
Kevin Holland could easily be like a basketball player, football player, baseball player.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. So that's another thing. It's like, and that's why I think Akhmedov's not a freak athlete. He's a strong guy and he's a mean guy and he's a good fighter, but you can't describe Akhmedov as like a freak athlete.
No, and I think what's even weird though is I think Tom Breese might be a freak athlete, but I don't think he has the skill set.
He doesn't have the mean streak. To me, it's like
Correct.
It's more of like the dog factor. Like it's not even technique for me. It's like the whole heart and balls factor. Like the whole. But yeah. But
I think you're totally right. Like Lerone Murphy, the next guy up, he has that mean streak, and so does Douglas D. I hate this guy's nickname. Douglas D. Silva de Andrade. Hey, bro, your name is D. Silva. That's not a fucking nickname. You just shortened Douglas to D. Like, that's not a nickname.
Shout out to what was it, Decox 45 or whatever.
I mean, Decox 10. But Lerone Murphy comes in undefeated, -320. Douglas Silva de Andrade, record of 26-3 coming into this fight, plus 260.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. You don't see that all the time.
So I'll give you just a quick note for this fight, right? It's at 145. Lerone Murphy, El Prezi 145 on Twitter. If y'all want to follow him, we followed him from his last performance on Beefy Boys because it was so impressive.
Yeah.
And also, this guy's story is super cool, man. Like, he's gotten shot in the face. People say in the head. I hate that when you say got shot in the head. It was in the face. Went through his cheek. He was spitting bullets out of his mouth in the hospital when he woke up.
Oh, I had no idea. That's
nuts.
Yeah. That's so, wild.
And they asked him in his pre-fight press conference, like, hey, what's it like to get shot in the face? And he was like, no cap. He really said it feels like getting punched with like a lights out shot. He was like, you just kind of feel like the force go through your face and like you don't really know what happened. You're just in like shock that you just got hit that hard with something.
You're probably concussed as fuck. Is that?
Yeah. So this is a guy that spit bullets out of his mouth before, so I don't think anything in an octagon is ever going to be scary to him.
Wow, that's why that's like a superhero origin story or some shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
right.
Yeah. Wow. He needs a movie.
So he is the minus 320 favorite. 145 is the weight class, like I said. Now, what's super interesting here is what I took on my parlay with this guy. By the way, I got fucked in my parlay by Mason Jones. Mason Jones won. I would have turned $40 into $700 yesterday.
Oh, fuck.
So very close. They had every other part of it. But I took this fight to go to the distance.
Okay.
Which was like a crazy like plus 250.
Nice.
Now, the reason I took that is, and this is what I'm actually talking about, Silva de Andrade never been knocked out. Been TKO'd once in 29 fights, and he's fought Peter Yan.
Yeah, that's impressive as fuck. Like,
at 35, and so now he's adding 10 more pounds, so like he's adding water to his brain in my mind, so like there's no way he's getting knocked out.
Great, valid points. Wow, nice, very nice points, bro.
So essentially, like, yeah, I just that was a great ticket to take. Silva, I thought Silva de Andrade looked good though, man.
Yeah,
this for like the hype on Lerone Murphy. Like, what'd you think about what do you think about Lerone Murphy? Because I obviously had this crazy like I know his story coming into it. I'm like looking at him like, you know, like Hancock from fucking the movie. but for you, like, what'd you think when they stepped in?
Well, I mean, when a guy's a minus 310, minus 320 favorite, I mean, just kind of experience has told me to kind of, you know, you don't usually expect an upset in those situations. So I thought he looked really good his last time out there, but he was fighting a guy like D Silva, we'll call him, and you know, I did think that was a big number, to be real. I thought it was a big number, but I just kind of put my faith in the number, to be honest. I was like, well, you know, they know. I kind of had the whole they know more than I do kind of approach to it, and I was like, you know, Lerone should have this, but and then he came out in round one and he looked great. I thought round one was Murphy's best round. The striking, the takedown defense. I mean, he did about everything right in round one.
Let me ask you this. Did you credit Murphy's leg kicks in round one? Because I didn't for how good they were landing. But the only reason I'm noting this point is that, like, in round 2 and 3, dude, Silva's leg was chewed up. Like, he had to switch his stance in round 2 and the end of round 3 because it was so chewed. I didn't even realize that was happening in the first round.
Yeah, man, I count all the strikes, man, and I may even put more of an emphasis on leg kicks than some other people, because people talk out of both sides of their neck when it comes to leg kicks. Because if a guy does nothing but a bunch of leg kicks, they'll be like, oh, I mean, it wasn't even to the head; it was just a bunch of leg kicks. But then on the flip side, all the color commentators talk about the entire fight. Is, oh man, old boy's leg is chewed up. Or
look at the whelps on that leg. Look at the redness on that leg. Or that's why he's switching stances. Or that's why he has no power on his like they'll speak out of both sides of their neck, and it kind of bugs me. And fans do it, and I don't know, other podcasters do it. Just like, oh, it's just leg kicks. But, oh, these leg kicks were the crucial, pivotal turning point of the fight. And it's like, you can't have it both ways, bro. So, like, I give all the credit in the world to leg kicks and score them just like I would score a jab. I score them like a jab. I score them just like a jab. But my thing was the effectiveness of Murphy's leg kicks is what I didn't realize. Like, I was scoring them like, oh, yeah, he's throwing them, he's hitting them. Like, these are good kicks. Like, nice inside kick, nice outside kick. In the second round, I started to realize, like, oh, fuck, these are, like, straight rights. Like, these aren't, like, jabs anymore. Like, these are actually changing the way the fight's happening.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, and that wasn't really directed as you. Just as like I hear this in like all
Oh
these
no,
other
yeah,
like MMA like Facebook groups and just Twitter and all it's just leg kicks, or all that guy does is leg kick, or I get like somebody will like eat 30 leg kicks but like land 2 punches and be like, I gave that round. The head punches are more effective than the leg kicks. But then like
dude,
I
like
just
the leg kicks will fuck. And
that's
Paul
just like a
Felder, I think.
narrative that just like I'm tired of just hearing.
I think Paul Felder talked about it too whenever they were emphasizing it, and he was like, guys don't realize like the next day when you wake up after like getting your leg kicked like that, he was like, you'll never forget it, and he was like, you'll never let your leg get kicked like that again. So when Paul Felder says some shit like that, and I'm like, it actually changes your perspective on how you fight as a professional fighter from how damaging those are day after, 18 hours after, whatever it may be. Like you realize the effectiveness, maybe not in the moment, but like overall damage, like the damage valuation has gone up tenfold for me on leg kicks.
Well, and it's just like, how many fights are these people watching? Because I don't know how. I literally I can't even count how many fights I've watched where leg kicks like determine the outcome. Like so many.
I've seen
so
3
many.
fights get stopped from leg kicks.
And we've seen, and it's like the great neutralizer too, where we've seen like the better athlete lose because he got his legs chopped down, and it's just
Uriah Faber against Jose Aldo is the greatest example of leg kicks literally winning you a fight. Like Uriah Faber may have been more explosive and a better athlete, but Aldo just said, "I'm going to kick the shit out of your legs so you just can't move."
Yeah, and also all the best fighters do it. Like all good fighters do it. Like if you're not doing it, you're probably not that good of a fighter. So it's just like I feel like they get like this unnecessary hate. But anyway, we'll keep it pushing.
Well, also just we will. But John Jones, think about his oblique kick, the over the knee kick that he does, or like Robert Whitaker taking that against from Yoel Romero. Like they've complained about that. Wonder Boy complained about that when Darren Till did it. Like very clearly, those above the knee leg kicks and the calf kicks are ultra effective.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that we said all that without even bringing up Cheeto and O'Malley.
Or Michael Chandler's only loss in Bellator as a champion.
Yeah. You schooled me on that on last podcast.
Like there's 2, and it's crazy we didn't bring them up because those are high profile wins, literally from a leg kick.
Yeah, definitely, man. And then round 2, I actually gave to D Silva. In round 2, it was a super close round, and Murphy actually had one more significant strike. But the reason why I gave it to D Silva was because he was able to get inside and fight his style of fight. Like round 2 looked visually different than rounds 1 and 3 because Silva was inside close and making it more of a brawl and just feel like fighting more of his style of fight. I don't know if you saw it that way.
Dude, and he cracked Murphy at the end of the second round. There was a right hand that hit, and you saw like the sweat shoot off Murphy's head, and I was like, oh shit, he got cracked.
Yeah, he definitely
and then he got a mouse like on the side of his head from it too. Like, so what's crazy is I said all that just to say I think Murphy won the second round.
Wow. Okay,
but just barely.
But it was razor thin. It was razor thin. I'm not dying on no hill.
Like,
it was razor thin.
I actually wrote, I don't know how to score this round. I'll say 2018 Murphy. Like, so it's one of those ones where like, okay.
No, I feel you. I'm not mad at that. And then also in round 2, Murphy's chin was on display because while he did get popped, he didn't go down. And
correct. I was impressed with that. That was a good thing to see in a young prospect. The fact that he can eat that shot. And I also thought in my head when he ate that shot, I've been been shot in the face. Like, not a big deal.
Definitely. Then in round 3, I thought both fighters had their moments. I thought it was a very close round. But as I've said before on this podcast and others, that I value strongly the end of the round, and I thought that Murphy ended the round strong and won the round. He stole the round in round 3, and I gave round 3 to Murphy.
I'm essentially right there with you. Like, I thought both of the guys went for it to end the fight. Like, they both tried to put a stamp on it. And I just thought Murphy just did enough to win that round. So, like, I scored at 30-27, but the caveat to that being second round could have gone either way. Not mad how you score it. Third round, very close as well. So, like, even though that score reads 30-27, almost was a 29-28 Douglas Silva de Andrade. You know what I mean?
No, I feel it, man. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Either way, Leroy Murphy wins as a -310 favorite. And yeah, we'll keep it pushing here on Beefy Boys Breakdown. And no,
I'll
this
let you,
next fight.
I'll let you introduce it real fast. We'll go grab a drink.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts about this fight, but I'll let you
Okay.
introduce them.
Okay. Yeah, man. So this fight, I gotta bust out my trusty spoon. We'll use this little nectar collector and eat my shit. Because this was one of the fights I felt most confident about. On me and Harrison, we did on one of my dreadful talks. We did like an upcoming fight preview, and I was talking. I felt super confident about Nam in this fight. I think we even talked about it maybe a little bit on the last Beefy Boys. Like I love Nam in this fight. Nam's power is like well known amongst smaller fighters, and Matt Schnell. I thought Nam's power was going to be enough, and so did Vegas, by the way. So we got Matt Schnell versus Tyson Nam. Schnell was the 9th ranked flyweight, but he was a plus 110 underdog, not a huge underdog, but underdog nonetheless. And then Tyson Nam was the 13th ranked flyweight, and was the minus 130 favorite. And man, I got out my trusty spoon to eat my shit while you were gone, because I was really confident in Nam going into this one. This was one of my predictions I felt good about. Like I said, Vegas agreed with this. Nam was the minus 130 favorite, fighting at flyweight. But goddamn it, I don't know. Do you want to say your hot take before or after we break down the rounds?
Man, let's do it round by round because it'll fit in better, I think.
All right,
It's
cool.
just it has more to do with Tyson Nam than anything else.
Okay, fair enough. Round 1, I gave to Schnell the volume, the combos. It was like he was on a speed bag. Like he would literally do the like the thing you don't really see. Like if you see it like in warm ups, like just the combo hand speed and the volume was just impressive. Like he was trading like 1 for like 8.
No, I mean I legit I think Schnell's like I wrote the exact same thing. Like they both seem respectful of each other's like striking abilities, but Nam was like way more down to throw, which makes sense because he needed to land like the big shot. But Schnell's combos were beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
And he was all he would throw was combos. No 1-2s, all combos.
Like he was throwing shit that you usually see like on bag working, mitt work, not like on like in an actual fight. Like these combos were like insane, like video game shit. And then round 2, more of the same, man. Schnell volume combos was what my notes read. Like this
in round 2.
Yeah, round 2.
I scored it the same, man. Like I literally wrote like Nam looks better this round, but Schnell did the exact same thing and won the round again. Like those are my notes.
And neither round was like a 10-8 domination because Nam was landing. But the thing about Nam, and I guess I want to get into this a little bit, but
I think you're going to lead me into my hot take.
I think so because Nam came out and called himself a one-trick pony. He said, "I got a right hand, but my right hand will drop anybody."
I got a big problem with that. Problem with that.
I left it up. I was like, well, if he comes out and drops him with the right, I have no problem with that. What happened was Schnell proved time and time again that he could eat the right, and he would trade, like I said, 1 for 8 or 1 for 6, and he would take. And so that's why. So on one hand, it was preventing it from being a 10-8 rounds because Nam was landing, and he was landing on occasion stiff, but Schnell was eating it and then returning fire and countering with like 8-shot combos, and Nam had no answer for just the combos and the volume, and he was just he was loading up on like 1 shot. Nam was not throwing combos; he was throwing way too many single shots. He should have thrown 1 more 1-2s and 1-2-3s to set up that big shot.
So I guess like my hot take is going to be this: that like as a professional level athlete, how can you possibly admit that you have one skill that you're good at? You've acknowledged that you have poor skills. Go work on your poor skills. Like you're clearly aware of them. You're so aware of them that you're actually not going to progress them because you believe in your one attribute. That's like the Tennessee Titans being like, we got Derrick Henry, so we'll run the ball, but fuck passing it, fuck defense. Like, no, dude, you got to have it all.
Yeah, I'll be real. I would have felt less confident had I heard that statement from Nam before I talked all my shit and predicted. But like I said, I don't know. Like I said, if he would have came out if he would have came out and started Schnell in the first with his right, I would have been like, hey, fuck it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, talk your
I
shit.
mean, yeah.
But
I,
but
dude,
that's obviously not what happened. And
side note, I feel like Tim Dillon today, just smoking rote, just butts, just smoking butts.
hey man, you got to do what you got to do, man. I'm about to fire up a butt right here with you, man.
But I'm with you. Like back on the fight, like so we're both 2018 through two, and I
Yeah,
think that was very clear that what Tyson Nam said was obviously true. Like he was just trying to wing a right in. He
that's
was
all.
taking a
Yeah,
bunch of damage from the combos that he would have no. Like why not counter strike a combo, bro? Like why not throw a 1-2 counter? You know,
because those
like why
combos were going on for like
the whole
ever.
fight, the whole fight.
When
Like
I'm
he
talking
never
like the
stopped.
length, like because they were like six,
Oh yeah,
he
they were
had
like 5, 6, 7. Yeah,
yeah.
right. Like if you throw a down the middle jab and just a hook outside on the right, like at least it's gonna, if not land, it's gonna break the combo
No, exactly, and also not like you say, he wasn't setting up his right at all. He was just literally
at
just
all. He was
throwing
just
a right.
winging it,
Yeah,
winging it.
yeah, man. Having said all that, I actually gave round three to Nom, but it was
Yeah.
classic too little, too late
Yep.
fashion.
I'm
And
right there with you.
I have a huge, huge problem with the split decision, and I know it's
Yeah.
whack to
Who
die
the
on this hill,
hell?
but
No.
there's no
I
way to
know. I'm
split.
with you. I'm with you. Like I texted a buddy that had bet this fight to not go to decision, which I thought was a great bet. And I was like, dude, that fight was a split decision, and I don't know how. And he
Yeah, I
thought
don't.
Schnell won the fight clearly.
Yeah,
Like, and
Schnell.
he's a casual guy.
Yeah, no, Schnell, I mean, it was 29-28, but Schnell won that all day long, 10 times out of 10. Rewatch it, he still won it. Like, yeah, that judge needs to seriously be like looked into. Like, that's out of line. But the right man won. Schnell cashes as a plus 110 underdog. He maintains his top 10 status in flyweight.
Yep, and I think deservedly so. Like, I think that the way he looked last night was top 10 deserving. Like,
Yeah,
I
he
don't
looked
know
good.
that he can fight with a guy like Kai Car-France or Rival or any of those guys that are just up in the level from him. Like, I think he'd actually get the work put on him by those guys. You know what's weird about 125, the guys, is like there's a clear like 6 guys at the top that can kind of fuck around with Figueiredo, and really like there's probably 3 at the very top that can do it. Moreno being one of them. Neither of these guys are those guys.
No, no, not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. Like, yeah, the thing about Schnell, as beautiful as those combos were, there was like absolutely nothing on them. Like, they were like flyweight combos and like the negative connotation of like that. Like,
Like, and exactly what you mean. Like crazy hand speed, no power.
no power, nothing. Like, no
Crazy hand
power.
speed, no
Yeah,
power.
no power. Yeah, exactly, man. And we'll keep it pushing to some women's flyweights. And
Yes,
I
sir.
gotta
Keep it.
say, like my least favorite fighter in the Ultimate Fighting
Yeah,
Championship.
dude. Thank
Like
you.
my least favorite to watch. Um,
I don't even
it's
cheer for her because
it's
her whole shtick is whack.
god awful. We have number 8 ranked flyweight, which I can't wait for. She needs to be unranked. But number 8 ranked flyweight, Roxanne Modafferi. That's what I'm talking about. My least favorite fighter. I just anything about her bugs me. Like it is what it is. Like I can't stand watching her fight. I don't like really much about any of
The
it.
Happy Warrior.
Yeah, the Heavy Warrior, and it's like that only works if you're
If you're
super
really
badass,
fucking good,
like
yeah.
like a big guy named Tiny, or you know what I'm saying? Like you have to
Like
be a
if
savage.
Stipe was the Happy Warrior, fine.
Yeah, yeah, or just yeah, or just even like an absolute monster, like just like a scary savage that's just like ironically named the Happy
Or
Warrior. But
or like Stephen Thompson.
yeah, oh that would also work. That would also work. But yeah, just the way I don't know. I'm not fucking with it. She was fighting Viviana Araujo, the 9th ranked flyweight. So it was 8 versus 9. The ranking McGee over here. I love
Ranking
that.
McGee, but the odds did not agree with Ranking McGee.
At all, at all. Minus 300 favorite Viviana Araujo. Fighting at women's flyweight. And yeah, man. Modafferi can barely like move. Like she can barely walk. Like
Her
it's like
knees are done. Her
done.
her whole striking stance is like boxy and like back and forth. Like I
And
don't know
there's
who her
nothing on
coaches
those
are.
shots. It looks like she's like untrained. Like I shit you not. Like and I know she's like well versed in jiu-jitsu and she's way better grappler. But
She
like
has
on
the
the feet,
most she has the most significant strikes ever landed at 125 for a woman.
I know. But
Yeah.
that's a longevity stat, man. That's like
Oh, I agree.
Matt Ryan may finish with the most
Dude,
passing yards ever, and it's just like,
you want to
okay,
hear one of my favorite stats of hers?
what's
She has
that?
14 takedowns in the 125 women's division, which is like, I think most in 125.
And I think that has to say more
14?
about the division than it does like
Khabib
her.
has gotten 22 in a fight before against Gleison Tebow.
Wow.
And she leads the division all time with 14. Dude, I'm out of women's flyweight. Get
Yeah,
rid of it.
women's flyweight, man. If there was any, actually, the only reason I don't say it's the worst division is because women's featherweight exists, and there's like six people
Yeah,
in it.
one.
But,
Yeah, yeah. Good point.
but,
Good
but,
point.
but, hey, I feel you. This fight was ugly on the eyes. Well, I mean, it depends. You have to
Depends
look
on
at
who you
it.
like.
Yeah,
If you're an Arujo fan, you were like,
Arujo
oh,
looked fantastic. She
right.
looked
Like
so good.
I
Just
10-8 first. 10-8 first. I don't know how you scored it.
No, without a doubt, 10-8 first. Arujo, I like her so much that I'm not even going to complain about pronouncing her name the Brazilian way. Like,
Yeah. Instead of Arajo, it's Araujo. But
there's like
it's like,
a great Mexican restaurant, and I actually did a burrito review on them, but it's one of the best places in San Jose. It's called Arajos, and it's spelled just like this.
yeah.
But
Watch that.
I like Arujo so much. I'll even pronounce her name right. Arujo looked fantastic. 10-8 first. The striking, but then she also ended the round in the submission attempt. So that's what gave it the 10-8 for me. If it would have just been
Yep.
striking, I probably would have left it 10-9, but she dominated on the feet, on the ground against somebody who's supposed to be an all-time grappler. She looked just athletically like she's like the female version of freaking Mike Davis. It's as far as being like an explosive athlete. Like she looks like she could go run 100-meter dash, play some tennis, like play some volleyball. She just looks like an athlete. Like
She
a
looks
soccer
like
player.
a bigger Joanna Jędrzejczyk, like in the octagon. Like she has very clean striking. She's very athletic built, like muscular.
But I'll say this, I'm not even trying to like be like sexual, like just like looking at it almost like an offensive lineman's base. Like Joanna don't got like a dump truck like that. Like
So you're going like Amanda Nunes on it. Like she's just like thickened out.
different though, because she doesn't have the wide back. Just those hips are explosive. She has like that
That's
volleyball player, like soccer player, just like that athletic lower body, the track runner. Like it's not the broad shoulder, like in women's bantamweight and the select few featherweights, you get that wide back. She didn't have that wide, broad shoulder build. Her lower body was explosive.
I know who would be comparable to her at 115. It would be like Wei Li. Like Wei Li is like that stacked, like just super. I know. I'm just saying, for someone smaller, like
but I feel
stacked
like
out
Wei
body.
Li still has more of like the square body. I'm really not trying to.
So you're saying
talk
you're
about
going
her
like
ass,
you're going like you're going like Yoel Romero style, like big shoulders. Also, like then it goes down to like the V waist, and then hips are out underneath the V waist. Like you're saying, like supreme athlete style build.
That's what it looked like to me. Yeah, because like all those other
It's
fighters
fair.
you were mentioned had like kind of just like a square body or like she just had like I don't know, because football players in college and high school, we all know we share like the weight rooms and do essentially the same workouts. We would leave our workouts and the volleyball players would go do the same workouts. And like I've been around a lot of volleyball players, and she just had that like explosive volleyball player body. Just that athlete body, like it was just jumped off the screen. Like I said, I'm not meaning any of this in like a sexual way. Just like I'd be saying this about like we say the same thing when we look at like offensive linemen, evaluate them, like like the base on him, like the athletic hips,
It's a good point, actually. It's a really good point. I never thought about it, but like you're totally right. Like when you look at an offensive lineman, like if they kind of have like that inward shape and then like out at the base and
that's
then
a
inward
good
again.
thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, like they're gonna be very powerful.
No, for sure, man. And so, like I said, man, just her athletic, just explosive. It was just couldn't be more like controversial. You literally have like Roxanne Modafferi literally looks like a geriatric.
She looks like your PE gym teacher when you were a kid.
It seems like she's and then like her knees are so bad that she was like literally willing to eat shots to pull up her knee sleeves.
Dude, I also think she's the stereotypical like hideous girl. Like I don't think I hate to get on this tip, but like what does she look like when she goes out for a dinner?
Oh man, dude, and and I even have this.
It can't be great.
I have this thing with her. because I have this crazy ex roommate who I literally hate her. Like I literally one of my least favorite people on this planet. Looks exactly like Roxanne Modafferi. Like I shit you not. So like it just like I literally was like watching her in shots. Like yeah,
Yeah, keep feeding them. Yeah, you
yeah.
text me. You're like, I hope she gets put to sleep. And I was like, God damn.
I was enjoying it way too much. But man, round two, I gave it more of a 10-9 because it was kind of somewhat like closer. But then
Yeah,
Arujo ended with a big takedown at the end of the round that kind of secured the round. Um, just yeah, I mean, Modafferi's movement, like it doesn't look like that would be bad movement for a heavyweight. Like you know what I'm saying?
that would
Like
be bad movement for a high school offensive lineman.
it would be bad movement for like literally like anybody
Like
that's
she
she
like shuffles. Like
she looks like she can barely walk. Like seriously,
right.
like just like as far as like a gait of just like a walking gait, like your
Yeah.
stride,
Like
like
she shuffles like a 75-year-old man.
like a
It
geriatric.
it's fucking wild.
And then,
You know
like I
what?
said, and then when you get her in there with literally like super stud Arujo, it just like
It's like not even. It's not fair.
yeah, but it was 8 versus 9. Like, oh man, oh god damn it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but you know what's not like she can't say that her knees are so bad that she can't like function or perform. You know why I say that? Because Kamaru Usman can't run like for his cardio. He has to swim because his knees are so bad, and he still is the fucking champion at 170. So anyone that wants to tell you like Tim Duncan played with no cartilage in his knees for 3 years, like anyone that wants to tell you like my knees are bad, shut the fuck up. Get in there and do your job.
yeah, I got it. It was so horrible
Dude,
to
she
watch.
she
Like
ate
so
a
horrible on
hard
the eyes.
she ate a hard right hook to pull one of her knee pads back up, like exactly
Yeah,
what you're talking about in the
yeah,
second round. So much so that Felder even goes, "Oh, Roxy, don't
yeah,
go for your knee pad." Like he even said it. Like, what are you
yeah, man.
doing?
Yeah, no, she needs to retire yesterday.
Yeah,
The
how
I'll
long have we been out on the Modafferi train for? How long?
since
The
day
one
one.
fight, there's one fight where we were like, yeah, we like her as the underdog pick at plus 260, and she won that fight, and shout out to her for doing that. It wasn't entertaining. It was a boring fight. She needs to be out of the UFC. She does not sell tickets or views.
No, she's whack. Definitely whack. It's just that division's so thin. But I don't even care. Throw some young
How is she
prospect in
number
there.
9, bro? Like, she's number
Well,
9
she
in
was
the
8.
world.
She was
Number
8.
8 in the world
Yeah,
at
yeah, man.
125.
Yeah, no, not anymore. She definitely is dropping out of the top 10. I would love to see her just retire. I'd love to see her
If
get cut.
if you're a woman and
Um,
you see this and you think you can make 125, by all means try it and do it. Like that's apparently the most open division on earth.
definitely. Yeah, round 3, Arujo got another takedown. She was the much more accurate striker. I kind of feel somewhat about this fight the way I feel about the Sumudarji fight, where Araujo really should have just like taken her head off, like just like
Yes.
absolutely beaten her to a pulp and just ended it within 2. Like she let her kind of somewhat hang around and have moments, I guess. But I mean, Araujo clearly won the fight. You know, covers as a minus 300 favorite.
So
Um,
you scored at 30-26, I assume?
yep, 30-26. Yep.
As did I, but it's crazy to say that like crazy to think that we're saying like damn, she should have just like killed her, got her out of there. But she won 30-26. But
Yeah,
it's like
but
but it's not Modafferi's toughness, right? Like that's not what their actual
the
story is.
One, the 10-8 was nice, but then there was a noticeable fall off in 2 and 3 where she like it was the whole 10-9 must or the 10 point must system to where like she won the fight, so it's a 10-9, but so she wins at 30-26. But I don't know, rounds 2 and 3 was not impressive to me for Arujo, just because like we said, she was in there with like the level of athlete that didn't even deserve to like share the octagon with her. And I know that
Right.
sounds ridiculous, like the 8th ranked fighter, but just believe your eyes. Like this is, I'm going full eye test. Fuck the rankings. I know I'm ranking McGee. Eye test says that she shouldn't have been in there with you. She can barely walk, and Arujo's a freak athlete. And it should have looked much different. It should have been like a violent finish, like
100%.
uh,
I'm with you. It's crazy to
but
say. Like
yeah,
that
but it was a
that
good point for you
sounds
to bring up.
well, it sounds like expectation doesn't meet reality, but it's like in what it should have been, like the reality should have been the expectation more so.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But it's. I, mean, I guess maybe I'm talking out of both sides of my neck because on the other hand, Arujo looked great. Like I'm high on her moving forward, especially in this division. So I mean, top fight for her next, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it's hard to give her that much credit, but she's 9. She beat 8. I mean, what
And
is she
beat her
gonna?
30-26.
Yeah, I mean, what's she gonna do? Fight the 6th ranked fighter? They might as well give her top 5.
I think it's one of those weird things. Yeah, and you know what's funny is that was an 8 versus 9 matchup. The main event is 8 versus 9. So like, you know, when you get to it, like the winner, I don't want to give it away, but the winner of the Chiesa Magny fight called out a top 5 opponent, and
Yeah,
they
no,
said
it
like
makes sense.
specifically like I want a guy in the top 5. So like that makes sense. Like when you're 8 or 9, why would and you win against 8 or 9, like if you're 8 or 9 and you beat the other guy opposite you, why would you fight 7 or 6 next? Like you should fight number 5 to see if you're in that range. Like I think
Well,
that's reasonable jumps.
and in any other weight class, I may freaking, like if it was men's featherweight that's just jam packed, I may say, okay, maybe that's a big jump or,
All right,
something.
I mean,
But
we'll
I'm
get
saying
there because
women's
this same situation happens. It'll be a good comparison, actually.
totally, but women's flyweight, fucking rocket ship that shit. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Get that fresh blood all the
Yeah,
way up in there. And
get
women's
it to
flyweight,
Shevchenko. Give her fresh. Like she's a vampire. She needs blood, man. Keep her
yeah,
alive.
yeah, no doubt. Just that's the most stagnant, thin, frail division. Just like I said, in any other division, I would listen to an argument. I'm not saying I would agree with it, but I would hear it out. Women's flyweight, fuck that. Give her a top
Yeah,
5, especially just how athletic she is and she has skills. I think top 5 next for Arujo, and I'll be right there, ready and willing to watch it, probably cheering
yeah.
for it. She
Legit
won,
skill set.
yeah,
Legit skill set.
legit skill set for sure, and legit athleticism. And I know I'm like probably beating that dead horse, but you don't see many women's fighters, like even the great ones, like even like
I mean, Rousey was built that way.
I'm not talking about just built though, like not just visual. Like there was an explosiveness
Oh,
in
her
there,
skill set is entirely different as well.
yeah, and just like
Like she's crisp and she's polished. She can get takedowns. She
translating
can defend
physique
takedowns.
to explosiveness. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying I want to watch her run a 40-yard dash. Like she just looks like she can do like athletic shit. Like I want to know her vertical. Like she just looks like athletic. Like not
It's like Rumble Johnson. That's like my ultimate like guy of like you just know he's an athlete. Like I give a fuck what he weighs. Like when he fought at 70, 85, 205, like freak athlete.
freak athlete for sure, man. And this next fight was a little sloppy, but it was
Oh my
fine. It
god,
was
dude.
fine, but it was sloppy. It was
This
ugly.
next this next fight at 205, Vinicius Moreira at plus 100 versus Isaac Hurricane Ike Villanueva at minus 120. Shout out to blue collar hardworking Mexicans apparently.
Yeah, and I loved that. Like I hated everything about this fight and him
Me too, me
until the
too.
post-fight interview, and I was like, you know what?
Ah,
No, I was like, you know what? I want to have a beer with this guy. But
he won you over.
he did. Well, also the name, just how savage. So he's from Houston, and isn't Hurricane Ike the one that did in Houston?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I found that bizarre. Kind
Dude,
of
and
like,
he trains with Derek Lewis down there in Houston. And he was like man, Derek Lewis be stealing my jokes and shit. I was like, oh my god, like you guys are the same person, just at different weights.
No, he seems like a cool ass guy. He's a minus 125 favorite. Fighting, like you said, Vinicius Moreira, plus 105 underdog, so pretty close on the Vegas odds. Fighting that light heavyweight, but I gotta say, bro, that if I would have just like turned on this fight after the introductions, like just like didn't know what weight class it was,
Oh, heavyweight.
I would have guessed heavyweight, and not because of guts or anything like that, because of like movement. Their movement was so stiff. Like they had that Roxanne Modafferi movement. No,
They looked
not
like they
that
were
bad,
both
but
38 years old in the octagon. I was like, what the fuck fight am I watching? Is this 2012
well,
right
and
now?
they both just need to go do yoga, Pilates, I don't know, dexterity training. Like they were so stiff and yeah, both of them. Like it just
Apparently,
they fought like heavyweights, but they were, which I guess shout out to the matchmaking, because if either of these guys would have fought like a young lion athletic 205, it would have been
would have
Rap
been bad.
City.
That would have been really
But
bad.
but they matched the two stiff light heavyweights up, and it made for a decent fight, I guess. It was sloppy, but
Dude, I hardly ever say this. I think I've only said it once before the show, but like, did Vinicius Moreira take a fucking dive? That shit was so bad, dude. Like he
I'm
didn't
not. I'm
did
gonna push back. That right hand from a
he didn't
guy that.
even he didn't even throw strikes really.
Well. So let's break this down a little bit. In round one, see, I actually have an interesting take here on round one because round one, my eye test said it was for Ike Villanueva. Like I was like,
Yeah,
I was super close to just writing down Ike Villanueva. But then I was
I
just
did.
shits and gigs. I wanted to look at the numbers. Maria had the numbers by like not just a few. Like he on paper outstruck him like a decent amount. But I still give it to Ike. But I'm just saying that was a weird case where my eyes did not match the numbers at all. Like I
That is
honestly
a
questioned if like the ESPN app was like glitching or something.
well. Sometimes it does. Like, and I will say, like ESPN app,
Maybe it did.
for the
Maybe it
for the
did.
Holloway Cater fight, it listed Max Holloway as landing 291 significant strikes, and they updated to 440 post fight after
Okay.
reviewing it. So it's like they miss a fuck ton of stuff in the
Okay,
moment.
maybe that's what happened. So I definitely want to trust my eye test. My eyes, my notes literally say eyes equals Ike's, numbers equal Maria. But I'm gonna go. Yeah, round one Ike. But then
But I
see,
also think quantity quality is an argument here because I think Villanueva was landing much cleaner, better shots too.
without a doubt, like I said, just the eye test. Watching it, you asked, hey, who won that? It was Ike, for
Right.
sure. And then sometimes it's best to not overthink it. And then
True.
round two. See, you say take a dive. I mean, I just thought he ate a gigantic right from a strong man. I mean, I don't know. At 205, especially these style of 205, as we already said, it was kind of like a heavyweight fight. Like
I
sometimes.
don't mean take a dive in the way he got finished.
Oh,
What I
okay.
mean is like the way he fought the fight. Like
No,
I
I
don't
just think
think
he
that he
just
ever
wasn't a
posed a
very
threat.
good fighter. I don't know.
You know what? Cut him. Fucking cut him. Because I had people that are casuals texting me and saying, "Who the fuck is this guy? Like, is he really a UFC fighter?" And I was saying, "Not tonight. Like, what are you talking about?" So cut him. Like,
Yeah,
if I got random people texting me and saying, "Like, who the fuck is this guy?" Cut him.
it was a visually ugly fight. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it was rough on the eyes. Like I said, I hated everything about this fight. And then that post fight interview from Mike, he won me over, man. He just
Talking about blue collar Mexicans. Talking about Monday, he's gonna be back, or
yeah,
what
back
is
at
today? He's gonna be
work.
back at work. I was like, God damn, bro. Like, I kind of respected the fuck out of that for sure.
I knew somebody steal, man. Like I
Yeah,
bet he makes a mean asada. I want to fucking go like eat a meal with his family and have a beer like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of shit. I don't know. He won me over, man. He seems like he could be somebody's uncle or something, man. But
no, yeah,
as
he is like the uncle at the fucking barbecue,
at the
where you're just
barbecue,
like,
you know he
like,
pounds beers. Like,
Ike? Is that Ike or Isaac? Oh,
like
that's Ike. Like, we got Hurricane Ike in the building
Hurricane
now.
Ike's in the building. He's just like he's like trying to fight low key.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
he came with like the storm surge, you know what I'm saying, and dropped Moreira fucking
he
hard to
dropped him
end.
hard. He
Like,
landed that big right hand, man, in round two. And yeah, he covers as a minus 125 favorite. But we'll keep it pushing. That fight definitely doesn't deserve too much attention. It was pretty rough.
was
Um,
not my favorite. The next fight was awesome.
yes, this next fight was so dope. And it was dope for like a couple different reasons. It had some storyline elements. It had actually great in octagon action. It was an interesting matchup. But yeah, we got Warley Alves plus 200 underdog fighting. I guess you pronounced that what?
Mun-
Monte?
Munir
Oh,
Lazez.
Munir Lazez at minus 240 favorite. And he actually trains, I think, in Dubai, but it's like right up the road from Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, yeah, it's an hour north.
So he was like a local favorite. That's why I think that's why they gave him the co-main. Like
He had never lost outside of UAE before this fight. He was 7-0 in United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, no, he did local favorite. They was getting a lot of
Yeah.
cheers. It was cool hearing the crowd kind of, cheer for a guy like actual passion. We haven't heard that in a long time. And yeah, man, fighting at welterweight, 170, and man, Alves. Wasn't there something? And maybe I'm mistaken. Did Alves like have a long layoff before this, or have an injury, or am I tripping?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, so he had an injury, and then like COVID kind of prolonged him. So like in combination, I think it had been like 16 months since his last fight. But he came into the UFC as this like legit top. Like they thought when he came to the UFC, he might be a champion someday. And Chael Sonnen is one of the guys that like brought him in, and like Chael has been quoted as saying like Warley Alves has all the skills to be a champion. It's just his mental like mindset of who shows up.
Okay.
And so like for a little more like backstory, I had a buddy like ask me, should I bet this fight? And I was like, listen, man, it's not because I don't believe in Lizez. It's because Worley Alves is a straight enigma. Like, you don't know who's going to show up on fight day. And today, like, we got like champion level Worley Alves.
Yeah, man, he looked phenomenal. And then also, I want to say they were like, not only was he like the local favorite and all that, I feel like the UFC was kind of trying to build that Lizez hype train. Like they were
For
definitely
sure.
like giving him kind of a slant. Like they were trying. Well, and he was the minus 240 favorite. So I mean, I guess they could have just been given honest analysis, but it seemed like they were trying to build him up a little bit.
He had a nice win against Abdul Razak Al Hassan.
Yeah.
Al Hassan was undefeated before fighting him with all KO finishes. So like Lizez clearly showed like chin there, and
But
like
then Al Hassan's been finished like twice since then, right? So it kind of
right,
diminishes that win a little bit.
right,
But yeah, I feel you.
right. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
like
man.
Lizez is one of those guys where they want to build his brand, but only as much as he can build it himself.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, he definitely has to beat guys like Alves to do that, especially in a fight where he's heavily favored. But man, I mean, it was a round one TKO, but this one's more about the how than the when or the what, because
Absolutely true.
yeah,
Great
man,
line.
and they were trading a little bit, but then Alves got him up against the fence to where he couldn't retreat anymore because he had him kind of on the run retreating, and then he got him up like kind of pinned up against the fence, but still at kickboxing range, and he just starts winging some of the most gorgeous left body kicks that you have ever seen, and
The first two connected so clean. It was 3 in a row, but the first two connected so clean.
Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like a track athlete, or we did it in football too, like warming up doing like hurdle drills where it's like as soon as your foot touches the ground, it goes over the hurdle. He's like, haba, haba, haba. And like your goal is to have your foot on the ground for like the least amount of time. And like that's exactly how these kicks were. It was just like, ba-dang, 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 like 3 in a row, like fucking out of a fucking machine gun. And right to the same exact identical spot. Like, if there was a target the size of a fucking golf ball, all 3 of those kicks hit that fucking golf ball.
And that third
So
one
accurate.
got blocked even by Lizez's arm, but it still, like Felder noted, which, dude, we gave it on the Beefy Boys breakdown. Prime cut award to Felder. Maybe probably best commentator we have today. But,
Seriously.
like, the fact that whenever your elbow gets jutted inward to your body, like,
so even if you block it, it actually kind of does you
the liver shot still hits, yeah.
Yeah. And
so,
he did
like,
3 in a row. It was so gorgeous, man. And Worley Alves is those
beautiful
body kicks, and he dropped them like Lizez just went down like you typically see with liver shots. It's kind of like a half a beat delay and
delayed reaction. Yes, sir.
And then I mean, classic liver shot drop. Well, classic and not classic, because like how he dropped was classic. What led to it? I mean, how the triple kick to like, goddamn, that was. So
you texted
gorgeous.
me and said it was Fiziev like, and I agree. Like,
it reminded me so much of Fiziev, Like, that was the closest thing to Fiziev I've seen since Fiziev.
well, and Fiziev's a Tiger Muay Thai kickboxer, so like, or Muay Thai fighter. Like, it makes sense he would be able to do that. So it just shows that like Worley Alves, like Chelsonen had said originally, extremely well rounded. It just depends on who you get when he walks in the cage.
Definitely.
He looked great last night.
And that got him the performance of the night bonus, which I really, and we'll get to it, but I hope one of the next fighters got an old Dana duffel bag, because like
fucking
all the bonuses are getting out now.
Damn.
We got Umar Nurmagomedov performance of the night, Worley Alves performance of the night, and then there was the fight of the
Mason
night.
Jones and Mike Davis.
Yes, sir. Yep. And so the main event got no bonuses, which I kind of somewhat got a bone to pick with that, but I mean, it's not like you said. We need more bonuses.
I hope they got the Dana duffel.
The Dana duffel, I'm sure, was in full effect. Pretty sure that Abu Dhabi duffel,
especially for someone like Chiesa that came on the post-fight show after, like,
works for the company as a
company man. Yeah. They don't like Neil Magny. They love Michael Chiesa. Yeah. Oh, that's a great point. Now, granted, coming into this fight, I favored Chiesa. So, for me...
That's not what you said on the preview.
I know.
What's up, Flip Flop McGee?
I'll send you some texts. But I started thinking about Chiesa at plus 120. and also at 170, and the fact that he was going to grapple. Like, I just knew he was going to grapple fuck. I hate to use that term because it sounds disrespectful, but like, he literally grapple fuck Magny. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it was one of those things where he was like, listen, Neil Magny, is as good as a grappler as you are, you won't be able to like win transitional positions or 50-50 scrambles with me. So I'm going to take my chances. And that's essentially exactly what we saw last night. So like, I know I love Neil Magny big time in the pre breakdown. And I wouldn't have bet this fight. I didn't bet this fight. If anything, I bet that this fight didn't go the distance, which it did, so I would have been wrong. But, you know, it's one of those things where I saw Chiesa at 170. He's a totally different fighter. Like, he has this crazy energy that, like, he doesn't get tired, and he can actually grapple effectively.
Yeah, man. I mean, and let's not get it twisted here. I mean, Vegas thought Magny would win, and Magny's a dangerous fighter.
Super.
And so, I mean, and the thing about it is, Chiesa had pretty much one path to victory. And that's always dicey, right? Because then if that one path to victory gets stifled, you kind of got nowhere to turn. But it's just the thing that this never got stifled. Like the path to victory was clear and obvious and perfectly executed.
Yeah, but that's the thing I don't like about Chiesa is that, like what you said, he has one path to victory, man. Like, it's the same shit every fight. And it's if he can do it, he wins. If he can't, he doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not good. It's not a good thing.
It's not. It's not. Especially in this division. That shit kind of works maybe in some other division, but at 70, but the thing is, it's working. But I don't know. I think this may be about as far as it can take it. Like, he called out Colby Covington.
That's not gonna work. And he noted that in his post fight speech. He said like when he got on the show, like the post fight show, not the speech. He was saying like, yeah, Colby Covington is my hardest matchup in the division. That's why I want to fight him.
I think he would have been better.
Brother, no, you don't.
I think he would have been better off calling out Masvidal than Covington. I think, yeah, because he could have outgassed him or outgrabbed him.
Right.
Because Covington, I think, can grapple with Chiesa and then can go the pace with Chiesa, and I think has better hands than Chiesa.
All those records that Holloway broke against Cater, you know whose records those were before? Covington against RDA. Don't fuck with that man. Like, he's a scary dude at 170.
No,
he may not be Kamaru Usman, but he's damn near the exact same.
No, I feel it. I feel it. As soon as he said that, there's not often whenever I hear. But at the same time, I do like calling out. Like, I don't know, whenever a guy calls out somebody who I'm like, yeah, he'll beat him, or like, that's kind of lackluster. Like, whenever he did that, like, he got a reaction from me. Like, I'll say that. He got a reaction from me. But yeah,
that's a great point. Yeah, I immediately was like, I don't know if you want that smoke, my man.
Yeah, me too. I felt the same exact way. Yeah, Chiesa was the number 8th ranked welterweight coming into this at a plus 130 or plus 120. I can't read my handwriting. I'm at
120.
And then Neil Magny was the 9th ranked welterweight coming in at minus 140 favorite. One of those things where, you know, Magny's a dangerous fighter. He's a great athlete. Just really, really high level athlete, one of these prime 170 kind of athletes we've been describing throughout this podcast. And
good kicks, straight punches. Like, I like No Magny's skill set. I like it a lot.
Yeah, he's game. He's game. But yeah, Chiesa, like I said, the path to victory for Chiesa was to grapple and ground control and takedowns and goddamn, was that not the recipe all night long?
Night long.
The gift that kept on giving. Just round one, Chiesa, takedowns, grappling. But I got to say, in round one, he inflicted like little to no damage, like pretty much none. But he still won the round.
Closest I had it. Round 3. Yeah. Round 3 was probably the closest I had it. But round 1 was the second closest. And I thought it was good for Chiesa, but I didn't mind it for Magny because I was like, you know, as the wrestling guy, like, he should be a little more fresh in the start. And, like, we'll see how that plays out, right?
To me, round 1 was only close as like a knock on Chiesa, not necessarily a pro for Magny. I don't think Magny really did much in round 1 to impress me, but I thought Chiesa's lack of damage inflicted, granted how dominant a position he had, I wasn't loving that. And he kind of fixed that problem in round 2, because in round 2, he came out, got similar dominant position, but then proceeded to actually inflict some pretty solid ground and pound, way better than we saw in round 1. He actually started to cause some damage.
Round 2 might have been his strongest round.
Yeah.
In the whole fight, honestly.
He looked great in round 2. That ground and pound really
like
impressed me.
like the fourth was a really good round because of the scrambles, but that
Yeah.
would be more to both men. Like I
Yeah.
thought Chiesa looked independently the best in round 2.
Well, especially because in round 1, I was kind of salty. I was like, oh my God, if we're going to watch a bunch of no ground and pound grappling, just leg humping, I was not, like you said, grapple fucking. In round 1, I was just like, oh, is this what we're in for? Especially after a couple other snoozers on the card. I was like, oh, is this what we're in for? But then in round 2, he kind of turned up, added a little paprika in there, added a little spice to it, and started mixing in that ground and pound. And I was very happy because that was my biggest complaint about round 1. And then, like you said, round 3 was by far Magny's best round. And I guess the judges gave him that round, right? Because
all 3 of the judges gave him round 3. I didn't.
I
gave him
didn't
no rounds.
either.
Really?
Me neither, bro.
Okay, nice.
I swear to God, whenever they said unanimous, I was like, oh, yeah, unanimous 50-45. Like, yeah, clearly. And then they were like 49-46.
49-46 on all 3 cards. And I was like, who the fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I thought to myself, well, they had to give him the third. That was the only round.
The only round. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess shout out to Magny for not getting swept, but on my card you did, Chief.
Dude, I thought Chiesa's transitions in 50-50 positions was amazing. There were plenty of times where they would get in these weird scrambles, and then Chiesa would finish on top. And DC the whole time was saying whoever gets their chest higher here wins. And dude, DC's grappling acumen,
I loved it.
Second to none, dude.
And then you had Felder's striking acumen. Them as a team was dope. That was
DC
so
Felder's a combo. If you give them Rogan,
power team.
Now here's the problem though: John Gooden was sick with DC and Felder because they make fun of his British accent. He brings a personality to it. Whereas Rogan, it gets this buddy shit with DC that I can't fuck with.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to the Rogan DC combo is losing steam on me. I'd like to see Rogan with just a different night that's not DC essentially, because I like Rogan and I like DC just together. I don't like when they get together.
I think DC Felder Anik is the combo.
It's fire. It's
fire. I think that's the combo.
Now round 4, and this is where I wanted to talk about scrambles more because Chiesa, the god level scrambles right here,
yes,
textbook,
yes.
Oh, he was floating. He was like a hovercraft,
staying on top, just literally wax on, wax off. Whatever you do underneath, I'm just gonna come back down.
It was there was a centimeter thick layer of air between Chiesa and Magny where he could just rotate and pivot on top
and his pressure with his shoulder and shit whenever he would take position from half guard, side mount, it was Chiesa looked great in the grappling game, man. He looked so well versed.
Magny is, and especially to be this deep in the fight, having, in my opinion, got dominated for 4 straight rounds, and he still was not accepting the takedowns and still not accepting. He was always squirming and wiggling and fighting to get back up to his feet, and I respect it. He got dominated in the most competitive way possible. He never gave up or quit or stopped believing, but he did get dominated for 5 rounds. But it's
one of those things where I feel bad for Magny because it's he just didn't have the skill set to match with Chiesa, but it all stems from how he approached the fight to begin with. If Chiesa can't get a takedown or can't get a hold of you, he can't win.
Well, and also we can't do this whole breakdown without bringing up the fact, and I'm glad DC kept bringing it up in the broadcast, but so it was mind-boggling and confusing and I just don't understand it. Magny kept initiating the clinch.
Right. Why would he do that?
What the fuck was that? Magny's we kept saying Chiesa had one path to victory.
Magny played into it. It's he jumped on the path and was yeah, come through.
That, and as far as Magny's own path to victory,
it's the opposite.
It would be the distance striking game.
And it was. He's a way better striker, dude. His kicks, his knees, his elbows, his punches are all better. He has 8 points. He's better than Chiesa, but Chiesa just got in close.
I gotta say, in the few moments when this feat was at B range, at kickboxing range, Chiesa landed a few stiffies.
He didn't look terrible.
He didn't look terrible. I'm not saying he would have won
that. I would have liked to see Magny go in with harder lead leg kicks. Try to kick Chiesa's lead leg because as a wrestler, like if you're trying to go in for takedowns, your lead leg is super important to that.
Okay.
Super, super important because you're going to go over your lead leg to shoot into it, right?
Makes
so
sense.
if it's like tender or ginger and you can't have that same amount of push off of it, then you don't have the same engage force with your takedown like on the initial like hit.
Okay.
That's important as far as stuffing a takedown, right? Because like you see all the time in the UFC when a guy like hits a takedown from the right angle, it's just given to him, right? But a lot of time when you see a guy like stuff a takedown, they have to chain wrestle, right? So if you lose that force, like you're essentially saying like already off the rip, like, all right, I'm going to try and chain wrestle into my takedown here.
Yeah, just Magny's just I don't know if you want to call it strategy. I don't know if you want to call it fight IQ. Maybe some combination thereof. But I was not impressed. That shit was whack.
It was almost like Mudarji. Like he just didn't realize like it's an obvious way that you have to win. Like your path to victory is this.
Yeah,
like,
man.
do this.
Yeah, maybe his failure to execute. Like I don't know, man. I don't know if his coaches told him to do that or if he was just fighting off instinct. Or I don't know what the fuck. Made no sense to me. Yeah, I said I didn't give Magny a single round, but all three judges disagree with us, which blew my mind.
I didn't give him a single round either.
Also, one last thing I want to highlight is that I wanted to highlight that it was Chiesa's not only his ability to take him down at will, but his ability to keep him down. Because how many times have we had this kind of debate of, well, he got 8 takedowns, but he got right back up. So kind of like what difference is it? Like, how do we score that? But that was not the case. Chiesa's ability to keep him down was just second to none. It was
phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. And like I said, if he did it against Magny, I don't know who else he could do it against. But like, yeah, man. Dominant performance. I wasn't really expecting that. I mean, I even thought Chiesa, would fight good. I just didn't expect that dominant of performance. But,
I thought this fight was super close, and like leading up to it, I was like, obviously, as you know, leaning Magny, and then we got closer, and I was like, man, this fight's like a razor thin decision. And then I listened to some more people break it down, and I was like, well, if Chiesa gets in on his engages in grappling, like he's gonna win just because like he'll push him on the cage and like hold him up against cage, and then he won't be able to strike. So that was like my final reasoning to take Chiesa. But then I also thought I thought Chiesa, if he was able to get Magny to the cage, would get a finish. So
yeah, no, it was a crazy fight, dominant performance.
Interesting fight. Now, here's what I want to bring up: is we talked about Modafferi and Araujo, I hate her name, being 8-9, and then Chiesa and Magny are 8-9. But my question for you is, do you think that Chiesa deserves a top 5 opponent right now? And I can list the welterweights.
Yeah,
so
do it. Go ahead and list it. Yep, list it.
So you obviously have Usman as the champion, right? And then you have Gilbert Burns right there about to fight him. Masvidal is, I believe, 3. Leon Edwards is 3. Masvidal's 2.
Covington's up there.
Covington's 4. It's not Darren Till. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is 5. Woodley's 6, and Maya's 7. So that's everyone in front of those guys.
You know what? Yeah, I would like to see him fight Wonderboy next.
I would too. I thought that was. I'm so happy you said that, man. Because I was like, you know what, Woodley and Maya, those guys don't interest me. Like, if anything, make them fight each other, get them the fuck out of welterweight. Like, get them the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm just over watching Woodley fights. Like, anytime.
And Maya, I'm done with both of them. They're both boring.
Anytime you ever ask me, like, oh, do you want to see such and such fight Woodley? My answer is going to be no, not because of the such and such, but because of the Woodley. I'm out on Woodley. Like,
I'm out on Woodley.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know
lost his passion
he's taking up
to compete.
A spot on that division and all that, but hey. I don't know. I like, yeah, but Wonderboy Chiesa, hey, I'm here for both guys. I don't know. I think Wonderboy fights him better than Magny did. Wonderboy's been looking great.
I think Wonderboy would fight. I would take Wonderboy all day against Chiesa because I don't think Chiesa gets those grappling matchups the same way that he gets as easily as he gets them against Magny. Like, because Wonderboy is just. Wonderboy's impressive, man. Like I don't give a fuck what anyone says. He might be number 5, but that's like his legitimate position in the division. Like, he tells you whether or not you can get a title shot.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to everybody watching live on our Instagram at Dreadful Talk Dom at Harrison_Madden. I appreciate everybody watching live and commenting and being part of the show. I appreciate you. And yeah, man, this was a fun one. We got a big one on
McGregor,
Saturday.
Poirier, Chandler,
Let's
Hooker.
go. We've been like theorizing and talking about these fights since we were in the 20s and we're in the 30s now. And man, I can't wait. So much fun. That was a lot of fun having that early morning card. Glad they're not all that early. Like I said,
Me
I
too.
appreciate your time. This was a fun breakdown. This is Beefy Boys 32. We got 33 coming to you Sunday, live from these same Instagrams, and then it'll be put to YouTube as well. Go subscribe to Beefy Boys Breakdown on YouTube. And we have at Beefy Breakdown on Twitter. And yeah, just be a part of the movement, everybody.
72 hours, and then more beef coming at you. The notebook's almost full. We're about to switch notebooks over. You
Me
see
too.
that?
I had to steal my wife's notebook. I filled mine up, man. But hey, that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. We've been putting
Yeah.
in that work, and so have these fighters, man. But thanks for everybody that watched live. Go subscribe on YouTube at Beefy Boys Breakdown, at Twitter at Beefy Breakdown. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time, brother.
Yes, sir. See you Sunday.